camera for everybody?
Welcome, baby. We are back in business. It's OpTic episode 27. The final major of the season is officially done and dusted. Only the World Championship remains. Can you believe it? Going into this year, we knew there was going to be 4 top teams. To have 4 teams winning each of the 4 events of the season is an unbelievable set of storylines, but we are back to break it all down. OpTic top 12, Toronto getting slammed on a Sunday, Subliners as the world champions, potentially again, but they won this event. FaZe getting second again, the Silver Servers, they're back in business. Everyone's here live on Twitch joining us. And we are going to be after the fact on YouTube, Spotify, all the podcast platforms as well. As always, it is Dope Check episode 27. Ace, how are we doing, my friends? Usually you're one of the intro, but today you're in a special case, fresh off the flank. Just saying.
Absolutely. I'm here in the beautiful 100D facility in downtown Los Angeles. Living life, doing good. Had an interesting tournament this week on Major 4. But anyways, I'm here. I'm on business. I got takes to give, narratives to change, new MVPs, new rookies of the year. We got a lot to talk about. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't, by the way. Join us on Dope Check. Keep supporting and let's keep it going. It's all business today. Straight up. Trey, hit him with it.
What do I say?
He's gonna hit it. He's gonna hit it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just hit us with it.
Say? Like, yeah. What's up, guys? Crazy weekend to come. Fuck me. Like, how do I top that? Like, we got fucking like we got Donald Ace over there, and we got fucking tactical fucking smoke over here. Like, there's no topping that. How is everyone doing? I hope you're having a great day. Crazy weekend to COD. Let's get into it,
baby. Let's get straight into it. Let's get go, baby. Okay, the first thing I wanted to talk about was really just about the actual event itself. If I'm cutting up, chat, by the way, let me know, but it should be fine for my end. Okay, the event itself, yes, local LAN situation. This was the trophy. We got it right here. Unfortunately, Ravens bottled it inside and outside of the server. They bottled the event. They bottled the World Championship qualification. It is what it is, you know, it is what it is. We'll get into that over the coming minutes. But what do we think about the way that they set this whole thing up, right? I'll fix the cameras a little bit here in a second. But this was the setup, obviously, at the venue itself. The teams facing each other. This is a good setup. Like, I think given the circumstances, I like what they put on. If this picture actually wants to load. We had one team on one side, one team on the other side. They had like this whole cage thing going on in the grand finals. Okay, there was no desk for the desk. It is what it is. But this just created some storylines. It created some trash talk, people standing up and shouting across the stage. I liked the way that they went about this. It's just, you know, a shame there was no fans, obviously. But this kind of like head-to-head setup, I would like to see it more often because this was the shit in like Bravo Station back in Black Ops 3, for example.
Yeah, it's having something like this is just so much more interactive for the not even for the fans, but for the players as well. You stand up, you're looking right at who you want to say something to. You know, you saw even like FaZe was standing up. You saw the Scrap Clay thing happen. You saw Miami stand up. Like, it's just so much more direct rather than side by side. Plus, most major esports, to be honest, do either round or literally straight up facing each other. So it's funny how this major was one where like there was a lot of other issues, but then they figured out something that could work, and I hope they implement for, hopefully every champs and other majors in the future as well. This really added a little layer of spice to this event, and I liked it a lot, honestly. Like, the little cage set up on the outside too, I think was a good vibe. This is a definite positive note from Major 4 that I think everyone can kind of like agree on, a takeaway for the future.
I think this was a test, to be honest with you. I think this is a test to see how people liked it and how it worked for the players. And because, in my opinion, like from what we've seen, this is going to be the setup at Champs. So I think this is like a pre-setup for Champs to test out how it's going to be, and then Champs is going to be like, wow, this is fire, and then boom, next year it's going to be happening at every single event, which is how it should be. Speaking of this event, it was great. The event setup was nice. For what they could do, it sucked that a major with a prize pool of that had to be literally in Ace's bedroom.
Got a sick ass bedroom.
Yeah, nice bedroom though.
It's like I said, we COD Esports, $1 billion league, $1 million league, anything like that, we've got to do better. And that's the best they could do for this, but we can never have this again. We can't have it. We can't have it for another year. We can't. It's just unacceptable. But, you know, props to them for putting on the event that they did, but we cannot have another major like this again.
Yeah, it's got to be done at this point. They've got to find out a better solution if this type of thing happens in the future. But also just don't trust like the terrible organizations, but it is what it is.
I told them they're a terrible organization. Don't trust them. Next thing you know, they got an event. I told you that was never going to happen.
I also feel like with the whole Ravens event, like they had time to figure it out because this event was now at the end of June. Like, I mean, I mentioned before, but I was hearing end of January that event was potentially chalked. So, like, you know, they could have potentially had 6 months to play with to figure out a better alternative to potentially get fans. But, you know, it is what it is. What Slash is talking about here is whether they could run this type of thing for the actual regular league matches, right? And whether that's a possibility. Obviously, the question is, where would you do it is a big point. Because I think Adam Adamu from Toronto, he came out and said the following: hey, COD League, if you want to move the online qualifiers to this kind of LAN format with a small studio. So interesting that he mentions the qualifiers, just because, you know, I'd kind of been hoping that maybe there were conversations being had behind the scenes such that the qualifiers would, you know, the online qualifiers might be going away. But I don't know, I can kind of see why this format makes sense for the league. To this kind of LAN format with a small studio audience, let me know. The format rocks for storytelling and engagement, which I agree with, right? Like, it'd be, if we could do all the qualifiers like this, it would be great.
It just shouldn't be where someone is.
Yeah, exactly. As he says, we're willing to run it out of Toronto, but also, like, you know,
of course, you're willing to run it out of Toronto. I'm sure Nate should be willing to run out. Yeah, I'm sure Nate should be willing to run it. Imagine that. Imagine every league game was run out of Toronto. If I'm begging to stay in Toronto, I'm signing the minimum to stay in Toronto. Don't have to travel to a fucking. Don't have to play online COD. You can get out of bed and rock up to your match. You don't have to fly to the fucking place. We can't do it here. Respectfully.
It's the biggest thing, though. We've talked about this. I brought it up before on a previous stream. The clip was put on Twitter as well, but I'll say it again. Like, we need to go back to the LAN League of Columbus. It doesn't matter where it is. It could be Kansas. It could be Idaho. It could be buttfuck Idaho. It doesn't matter at this point. Like, we need something that's a proper LAN league. People are already paying for housing, right? Teams already pay for housing. They already pay this. Esports Engine already pays staff. They're already paying people to be on these online matches. Just invest a little bit more on the league side. Activision, I know you have the money. Teams, you're already putting money into to housing and all these situations. Just have people live in one place and do it in a small studio, whether it's Burbank, whether it's Columbus, whatever it has to be. It's the most efficient way to run COD. It's the most fair way to run COD. Players will be happy, fans will be happy, and literally, like we saw at this event, this is basically a glorified league. This is a glorified LAN setup. That's not like a major. This was perfect. This was perfect, like Slasher says, for what we need to see going ahead. Hopefully, in a game like Black Ops 6 or even after that, Advanced Warfare 2, games that I think are going to bring a big amount of eyes and traction back to the Call of Duty space. We need to really think about what this looks like going ahead, how to retain viewership, and how to make it where players, fans, and everyone want to watch and are happy with what they're watching. Because right now, it's not the case.
Now, to go back to my point about don't let them run it there. Low key, if they decided to do a LAN league, if I'm every team, I'm deciding to just move out there.
Or move exactly, 100%.
Move to where the players are. Obviously, I'm like kind of trolling about like, listen, if Toronto are willing to run out of there, fuck it. Let's go to Toronto and do it. But all the teams have got to be, or the league has to implement something where the teams have to move to a certain place just for the league matches. Because that just makes sense to me.
It's not only that too, but I think there is a fair point that you guys said with the Toronto idea. Like if it's in the city of one of the franchise teams,
but also even if it's Dallas, right? It's like, okay, is Adam Adamu saying this? If OpTic or whatever, they say, hey, we'll run it at Esports Stadium Arlington and we'll make it a face-to-face, whatever. Like, do they want to organize getting all their players out there to live in Dallas for like weeks at a time when they've got a whole ass facility in Toronto? Probably not, let's be real. So like, I don't really think about it as who does it. There's going to be complications and people aren't going to be happy unless the league steps in, as you say, and actually drops the bag.
I think
neutral
that's the
location.
Issue.
Neutral location is the key.
It's hard. It's hard to have a neutral location though.
Columbus, Ohio, neutral location.
For who though? Like
For
it's
for everyone. There's no one. There's no
Everyone's
one
gonna play
you know?
that shit. I mean, they used to do it back in the day, but the thing is, back then, like they used to run.
Back then,
it wasn't
everyone was
qualified
scattered
LAN.
around,
It was
though.
that's
Everyone
also
was
true.
scattered around though.
Nowadays, they're mostly
it
based
was-
in Dallas. And...
Bro, everyone has to. We all have to realize that like these teams have spent millions on facilities and everything like that. Like, not everyone's gonna. I mean, they're just gonna have to travel there if there's gonna be a LAN League. But I think everyone, like you say, if they're gonna do what it has to be like, I mean, Columbus probably ain't gonna be it because that was just the MOG studio. Right. They're gonna have to find somewhere that's gonna be. I feel like, in my opinion, they have to find somewhere where there aren't teams that live there, just so it's deemed not such a, like I said, like not having to fly to a fucking event is like a blessing.
It also depends what the setup is, though, right? Because if it's the same setup as now, where it's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday games every weekend for like 3 or 4 weekends in a row, like what the hell do you do? Do you just like you're gonna live in Columbus for like 4 weeks in a row in Ohio to play like 4 games over 3 weekends or some shit? Like, I don't know. I think if they are going to do it on LAN, they've got to change and improve the format. Because back when they actually used to do it on LAN, the format was different, where you'd have like entire stages. You'd have league match stage 1, stage 1 of the league match, basically, for the LAN stuff. And then you'd have stage 2, and there'd be majors and stuff scattered in between. But it wouldn't be qualifier, major, right? It was more like, okay, this is stage 1, this is stage 2. This major had 0 aura. Yeah, and I also think like there is something to be said for the fact that the LAN would be way more entertaining if the online qualifiers were on LAN. But would they really get any more viewers? I think they probably would, but maybe not like to a crazy extent. Well, they would, but like what people really care about is who wins, right? Like this is the whole point about league matches. Like all I care about is who lifts up the trophy, and that's why league matches just kind of suck. I think
I have a huge disagreement with your point. If you're saying that it has less viewership, standing up and seeing Scrap and Clay yell at each other boosts viewership. People see that. That was a big clip. That was beyond just COD. That was esports.
Yeah, regardless of it being viral, though, more viewers for COD on a live stream? No, I don't.
I disagree. I disagree wholeheartedly.
I mean, this is the same thing with Twitch and the YouTube argument. I was a part of both. Like there was hard.
You're looking at a one moment. I'm saying we get more of those moments and more times with people standing up and talking shit, and actually more moments like Vikul saying "fuck the green wall." There's more moments that are more like spectacles that happen when people are in person and actually feeling a little bit of tension like that. That happens time after time after time. After a few times, people are more inclined to see, let me sit there and watch what happens because this shit's actually interesting. There's a possibility that I might see someone stand up and say something crazy. That's what I'm saying. Not like the one-off. Don't take it as a one-off.
For the viral clips, yeah, for sure. I'm going to give you, I like for long-term of viral clips, yeah, absolutely. But
the light just fell down. I don't know if you guys saw me absolutely panic right now, but this light just fell down. LAT, don't sue me. Okay, thank you.
Like
no.
said,
Shout out Ogado for the
so
quality light.
LAN is so much better, but are people really going to sit there and watch Invasion Control just because someone's face to face? No, no.
I think like if I was the CDL and I have a certain budget of money to put into the league and I'm trying to like increase the viewership, I don't think making the qualifiers to LAN moves the needle. It moves the needle, but it doesn't move the needle as much compared to like running more actual tournaments, right? Like if I had a certain amount of budget and I had to choose between running the qualifiers on LAN and still do like 5 majors, or I can run online qualifiers but do 7 majors, like I'm picking the majors every time, I think. But that may be a controversial opinion.
I mean, it's just the game. It's just no. I don't know. I don't know. We could talk about how to make COD better viewership wise, but it just hasn't been good viewership wise for years.
Isn't it funny that how Rab's take is that we have to compromise on one or the other, quality in one spot or the other spot? That's the shittiest part about this conversation, is that we're compromising on quality. That's like, I think, the overarching problem as a whole from a $1 billion league, is that like the LAN League isn't that difficult to run. Running 5 majors, maybe 6, maybe 7, is not that. It's difficult. It's expensive. I understand, but like, it's not that difficult. You've been doing it for 10 years. MLG Day, CWL Day, WL, CDL. We've been doing this for a while. It shouldn't be this difficult. It shouldn't be something where we're compromising so much. And there should be some type of market where if we have to run 5 majors in Dallas, LA, Miami, New York, places where people actually buy tickets, maybe that's a good thought. Toronto, Miami, Dallas, New York, LA. Do your majors there so teams can actually make money on tickets, because otherwise they won't. Don't do another. Like, it's just like, there's logistics here that I think even the simplest COD fan that's been watching for years can come up with, and they would work. But for some reason, the $1 billion corporation with lawyers, execs and everything else just can't put it together.
Also, to Vincent saying I'm too negative, there's being negative and there's being real. Unfortunately, they both intertwine with each other. Would you like me to not be real and say, yeah, man, fucking hell, yo, Rab, you're so ace, you're so right, man. They bring the LAN League back, fuck me, 1 million viewers on the stream, we're fucking back. I'm being real. It's not negative. Negative, yeah, it's just unfortunately that every time we speak about this type of thing, it's just going to be negative, because that's how it is with COD right now.
Yeah, I just found this clip as well. It's a nice clip, but it is invasion control, and it's like, there's only so much invasion control I can watch, to be honest. But
and
it is what it is.
This is my whole point. Like, I'll be real with you. I'm not going to sit here and be fake about it. It's just hard for people to watch COD regardless, just because of how repetitive it is. So hopefully next year, we say this every single time, but hopefully next year, that doesn't happen. But that's just what it is all the time.
Now, Trei coming in to save the day. It's Black Ops 3 version 2. I will be there.
I will be there.
Absolutely.
Advanced Warfare 2, if they have jetpacks, I will be there. Black Ops 6 with advanced movement, I will be there.
Okay,
No
let's talk about the tournament, ladies and gentlemen, because this was the bracket. I'm not going to lie, our pre-tournament bracket, okay, it didn't have this, to be fair. But it wasn't actually that bad. Like, we were the only people to actually predict OpTic to go out round 1. We had Thieves getting to top 4. They eventually got top 6.
Everyone else is scared.
Yeah, they're scared of the green wall, but, there's only some of us know ball, Trei. Only 2 of us in the call know ball as well, I fear.
Yeah, that's true. There's one non-ball knower, and his name begins with A.
Yeah.
Yeah, Actical Rab, okay? Shut up, you rats. You absolute rats, bro.
You gotta stop going against me, bro, because I'm never wrong.
Okay, but then how about this? Who was the one person in the pre-show to say, and also on the show before to say, I have a feeling in my balls NYSL are about to win something. Had a feeling in my balls, and y'all, these two clowns laughed at me that NYSL were good. Ha ha ha! Last laugh. Always remember.
I do not remember you saying New York will win something this year.
Look at Superkins in the chat. Look at chat right now. Superkins. Ace, I remember last episode you were loving NYSL. Everyone called them crazy.
Yeah. You never said they were gonna win though.
I said I had a feeling my balls were gonna win champs, but the feeling was in the balls. I didn't know what it was. It was just lingering in there. And again, this is another thing. People sit here, and again, even when I made that MVP poll on Twitter, nobody voted for HyDra. Nobody.
Yeah,
it was like 3%. What?
Oh, here we go again, baby.
Bro, do I really have to cook you?
I mean, we can
sure.
cook it later if you want.
Go ahead. Have fun.
Actually, no. Go for it.
We're going to save it for after the tournament bracket?
No.
I'm ready for your beta take.
No. Explain to me why HyDra deserves MVP this year. Go.
He's the best player in the hardest role. Done. Thanks.
Cap.
You're going to say Simp? Great. Yeah, okay. Simp.
Right, no, if that's your explanation to why HyDra should be MVP this year, then
NYSL without HyDra don't get top 4. FaZe without Simp get top 3.
NYSL
Done.
with HyDra got
argument.
top 12.
That was a good argument, Trey. Good argument.
NYSL this year got top 12. Dead last.
So what?
FaZe, third, second, first. Simp, one of the best players in the game at his role. the best SMG in the game at his role.
You keep bringing up teams. I'm saying valuable player. Who brings the most value to the team?
Alright, this argument is done and dusted before it's even started, if that's your explanation.
Who brings the most value to the team? You could put a fourth player on FaZe, and that team would still get top 3. You cannot put a different player in HyDra's role, and that team win a tournament, get top 3, get top 4 online. That wouldn't happen. Just saying. Valuable player, most valuable player. It doesn't mean the best player on the best team. That's not what most valuable player means. Your only arguments truly to me are Scrap or HyDra. Simp is obviously very good. He's godlike. I'm not disagreeing here, but most valuable player to a team that's bringing the biggest difference maker to his team, it's gotta be HyDra. He just won a tourney as well. It's proving to be true as well. How many negative series does he have too? Like, I mean, like with other guys playing terribly. I don't know, man. It's kind of obvious with it's kind of obvious. It's so obvious. It's kind of glaring to me the fact that you're arguing for anyone else. So
Kismet fried at this event and they won the event.
Yeah, Kismet and HyDra had the same KD in the finals, and HyDra had a higher KD across the board in the tournament. Oh wait. Also, let me slap your argument one more time. Who had the top 3 KDs at this tournament? Top 3. Name them if you know them.
I don't know.
I mean, HyDra.
No,
really?
It's not. Go look at the KDs. It's 3 members of FaZe, buddy. It's 3 members of FaZe, buddy. How does that work? How's that most valuable player? Are they all 3 most valuable? Can Sim drop a 1.4 if his teammates aren't dropping 1.2s? Use your brain, Trey. Come on, man.
One thing I'll also say, okay, I mean, I would just throw in something like, let's say, Ravens. They've not made champs, but let's say Gwyn is like by far carrying those guys. Like every single series, Gwyn's their best player by miles. Does that make him like the most valuable player? Obviously not, because there's got to be some consideration for how well the team does. So I'm not saying that doesn't apply to HyDra, but I think you've got to consider that they have to be most valuable to the team if that's the definition you're using, and also get results to be considered. Obviously, the teams are mentioned to get results, but
do you not have to get results to be considered? Like, what am I hearing?
Well, I'm just saying, like, if we're talking about value on teams, then you could have a dogshit team that's top 12, but you put Simp on that team, and all of a sudden he's most valuable, right?
Yeah, but if Simp, right? So if you trade HyDra for Simp, does RMY New York not as good?
I mean, that's you're playing hypotheticals. I'm not.
Huh?
You're playing hypotheticals. I'm not. I'm saying of what's happening right now, this year, right now with these teams. I'm not reflecting
just picked up the goalposts and moved them.
wait. Actually, no. I'll say this too. On this very show, on our very show, we've said in this call, and we've argued actually, both of you, would Simp be as effective without a BZ? And Trey, you specifically were arguing Simp would not be as effective without a BZ running in front of him. So this is a funny argument coming from you.
Wait. I said
that's your argument. We can go back and clip it if you like.
I said that's a dumb argument because they've not teamed without each other since like probably like World War II. No.
I don't.
Maybe like Black Ops 4.
Yeah, I think it's before that even. Honestly,
yeah,
I think it's before that.
Like
but my point is that we had a straight discussion. Would Simp be as effective without a BZ running in front of him, right? So that's a big argument, and I think that's a fair argument, honestly. But that was your argument as well. You were saying you were questioning whether he would be. HyDra with, I mean, I think the stat came out. I think it was Money Hill stats that put it out. I think he said HyDra every year he's been in the CDL has made a grand finals or he won a championship. Don't quote me exactly.
Made a finals.
Either grand finals
is now true.
It was made a finals, even with the team that was pretty terrible the first time around. So like. I don't know.
He's made a finals. Congrats.
I don't know.
It's not the MVP.
I just think that most valuable player to his team is a very specific argument.
What argument is that about HyDra saying he's made a finals every single year when we're talking about Simp who's won every single year?
Apart from Vanguard.
My point is value to your team. The way HyDra plays, the value to his team is insane. It's just the level of without HyDra again, NYSL are not a top 4 team.
So is Simp.
They're not.
I'm not saying that FaZe wouldn't be a top 4 team, but the thing Simp does on the map, bro, like it enables the rest of his team. Like we're talking the value of HyDra and Simp here. We literally, bro, if you're making a team and you've got one player to choose from, if you have to build a team around someone, you build it around Simp.
I would build it around HyDra.
All right. Well, we've had this argument before, and you said Simp, so.
Over time, okay, but over time, you have to think about it. HyDra's done it with more variety of pieces than Simp has. True or true?
I think it's difficult to easily come up with a conclusion to this. I think the question that I would be interested to hear your guys' answer to is, what do you think the league will actually do? Who do you actually think they're going to give it to? Because whatever I think on this debate, I think they're going to give it to Simp. Do we agree or disagree?
So MVP race we're saying here?
Yeah, I'm saying who are the league actually going to give MVP to? Not saying who deserves it. Who are the league going to think deserves it the most?
It's a hard one because COD.
Because they're going to look at stats. They're going to look
recency bias, right?
Yeah.
COD has been a really big recency bias esport, right? So if it's that case, obviously we're going to get the HyDra bias. But Scrap
they gave
has
it
a
to
great
him
argument
last
as
year,
well.
though. So he was at least champs. Yeah, he was regular season MVP winning last year, HyDra. I ain't giving it to him again.
Yeah. You don't think he'll get? You don't think the league will do back-to-backs?
Nah, they won't do that shit. They'll give it to Simp. It's gonna be how it is. I've seen it before.
This argument is crazy.
To be honest, all I really care about is end of season MVP. Who fucking wins champs? That's what I care about.
This argument is crazy to me. Honestly, it really is.
Yeah, people in chat saying Simp generally. I kind of agree.
Yeah, they've got brains. They've got brains.
Yeah, chat knows ball, I think. But also, it's just the value argument is difficult because, as I say, if you put Simp on Boston, then they probably go from being top 12 dog shit to top 8 or something. And all of a sudden, Simp's the most valuable player in the game to that team. But they still ain't winning shit. So,
Okay, give it to Purge.
What? Okay, now you're tweaking. Trei is actually tweaking now.
Let's give it to Purge because Paris didn't look very good about him.
No, but genuinely, what do we think about Scrap though being MVP though? He's an argument too for sure. What do we think about that?
I just think this tournament kind of fucks him,
Yeah, but the recency bias is the issue, right? But highest KD, right? He's definitely been consistent throughout the year. He's very valuable for his team. We've argued he's the best AR, right? We've argued that on the show as well. Do we think he's an actual candidate for the MVP spot?
Absolutely. I do think
it's my same argument with Simp that it's Simp, HyDra, and Scrap. Yeah, they're the top 3. It's just consistency wise for their team the whole year. Simp has just been better consistently wise.
I also think the recency bias question is quite interesting. In this specific debate, I guess recency bias shouldn't matter, but recency bias is actually, I know people roast it as recency bias, but it's actually an important thing to consider. What happened 2 days ago is more important than what happened at the start of the season, generally speaking. Now, for this specific award, in terms of who was the best over the course of the year, then sure, I guess everything should be equally weighted, theoretically, Major 1 to now, which is fine. But also, the start of the year is always a bit different. Some people haven't learnt the game as quickly. The first results can be kind of fluky because it's last year New York won the first event, then fell off and came back frying and won the last event before the World Championship and Champs. This year they came last the first event, then they had a bit of a rough time but decent placings, and now they come back and winning at the end of the year. So that first event stuff can always be a bit cheesy sometimes.
Shafi, what have you just said, bro? Does Trei not watch Draza was by far FaZe's best player stage 3? Have I not just spoke about the course of the year, consistency-wise? It's not like Simp went from a fucking 1.1 down to a 0.56 consistently. He's just been there in his role. Draza's going to have a better KD than Simp over the year. We should be agreeing in that, unless Simp just Draza's an AR, Simp isn't. That's facts.
Yeah, I'll even stand with Trei on this one too. I'll even stand with Trei on this one that just because Draza had a time when he was holding it down doesn't discount Simp at all. That's not a fair assessment, honestly.
I also think that Scrap is more important to... I'm not going to say more important like that in terms like that, but I think Scrap and HyDra have in terms of importance, they could battle it out for how valuable they are to their teams.
Thank you. Also, one guy in the chat spewed some BS. I just want to clarify this one more time because he spewed absolute horseshit. Overall year KDs. This is the order, actually. Cellium, highest KD of the year, 1.21. Scrap is number 2, 1.17. Simp and HyDra are tied for third and fourth at 1.14, and Attach with 1.10. Someone in there said Simp has a higher KD than HyDra and Scrap, which is not blatantly not true. Just to clarify.
I think
Yeah,
a lot of people I think a lot of people got to understand as well is that I'm also taking to the account of how many times I've watched, like, Simp. Bear in mind, I watch COD. I do watch a lot of COD. Bear in mind how many times I've watched Simp make the right play to where HyDra makes the right play, but Simp makes a lot less more mistakes than HyDra and his team does, because I feel like HyDra has to feel like he has to fry a lot more. Which is why now, obviously HyDra has had to pick up Kismet's slack for a lot of the year, because we can all agree Kismet hasn't been playing the best this year. He just absolutely fried in that grand finals and played pretty well over the weekend, so maybe he's fucking back. But the same with Scrap. Scrap's also had to do it. Insight had a bad stage 3. Envoy had a really bad stint of hardpoint games and stuff like that, and Scrap still played incredibly well. I just think, talking consistently wise, Simp has been consistently the best player all year. Not these little one event spouts or one major spouts, just consistently being like consistently the best player.
I just want to add one last thing, because I know this back and forth is a tough one, right? It's an MVP race with 3 great players, so it's very tough to like come to a boiling down conclusion. I'm gonna add one thing here, just in context, and then I'm gonna ask the question to my other 2 beautiful co-hosts here. Advanced stats. HyDra, his on the KD stats, right, from top to bottom, 1 through the whole league. HyDra's 4th. The next player on his team ranks at 13th. Which is Sib, right? He's 4th. Sib is 13th. That's the next player on his team on the overall rankings. Simp is 3rd. His teammates rank 1st, 7th, and 11th. 1st, 7th, and 11th. HyDra's playing with his next top players 13th in overall KD. That's context I want to add to why I'm saying most valuable player. Importance to the team. Hardest role, hardest job, and willing them to victories in 4th place. And the second thing I want to ask, Trey, is Rabs frozen for you too?
Oh, yeah. Hang on, maybe I'll come back.
I was like, he's not talk. That steady. There's no way. And so I want to add that context to this conversation. Last thing I want to ask you guys specifically is this, to close out the conversation, because I know it's a hard one to boil down. If you had to rank 1st, 2nd, 3rd for your MVP vote between those 3, what would be your order?
You want to go, Trei?
Scrap, HyDra.
Simp, Scrap, HyDra? Okay, Rap?
I think I'm probably going Simp, HyDra, Scrap, I think, after this event.
I'm going HyDra, Scrap, Simp. So all 3 of us have different answers, which is crazy. But that's why you love Dope Check, because we're just bouncing around with 3 different opinions, man. Someone's gonna be right. Everyone in the chat right now agrees with one of us, basically. So you gotta love it, man. You really gotta love it.
Obviously, I know there was talk about why like Selim isn't considered in the race and stuff. Like, if I order the stats by Slayer rating, which is expected kills in a 5-map series, which is probably a better way to look at like impact and value on some level. Your top 3 is HyDra, Scrap, and Simp, like quite away from the rest. Then it's Kleenex, 04, Shotzi, Real, Gwyn. So this is kind of like your impact players. Obviously, this is going to lean more towards SMGs than ARs, which is why Scrappy is like so impressive. Like, I don't want to downplay how insane Scrap is. But Selim is down in 41st, right? So it's obviously a different role, but I think, like you're looking at KD and Slayer rating and these other factors. So it's just like, I think the league will look at the way the season has gone and give it to Simp, but I think you can look at it at a number of different ways. Let's talk about the actual matches though, because there's lots to say. Obviously, we could go all day talking about this. We're going to start with OpTic, everyone's favorite team. We've got to begin there because they didn't make it very far. They turn up to the tournament. And
we do start with top 12 every time. So
we do start with top 12. So, welcome the OpTic fans to the show. It weren't the best one for them. I did just have a quick clip to share, I guess, actually. Maybe I'll just find a way to, like, download this shit or something real quick, because this game 5 against Mabi was interesting, but Yeah, just talk a little bit, Trey, about how they got to this point, OpTic, because obviously Thieves Heretics happens in the winners bracket. Would it have mattered to you who they played, OpTic? Like, do you think they lost to Thieves anyway or not?
Yeah, I mean, I even predicted they were just going to lose top 12 regardless. It's just something about the team, and I know everyone in chats has their opinion about it, but I hope you agree with mine. They just don't look happy playing with each other. I don't know what's gone on. You know, they've been in losing situations before. They've been down 2-1 in a series, and Kenny's laughing his head off with people. You know, we've seen it. They've just had a really rough online start. Online split 1-6 wasn't the best going into this major as well. Everyone was like, you know, it's just online. Like, they'll be back for the major. They weren't back for the major. You look at their player cams, you look at the way they react with each other and stuff like that. It's just something seems a bit off in the camp. And I can't quite put down to what it is, but hopefully they can get back on track because, yeah, it's just nice to see. I just want the most competitive champs possible, and right now, it's like I said to Ace on the pre-show, like if I'm anyone right now, I would prefer playing out the top 4 teams. I would prefer playing OpTic right now. They just look mentally checked out.
I actually, Trey, I'm gonna say you were right on that one as well. I changed my opinion after kind of going through and watching NYSL. In Respawn, they're unbelievable. Like, especially in Hardpoint, NYSL are dangerous in Hardpoint. They're the best Hardpoint team out there, pretty much.
Finally,
without a doubt. Yeah, well, finally, they had the potential all year. Adding Simp to that roster, they had the potential all year. They just finally all clicked. You know, shout out to that coaching staff too. But, man, it's OpTic's in a very weird situation. It does look like it does look like they're having, like, when they don't look happy to sit next to each other. Losing does that to you, obviously, but it looks just a little deeper than that. I think unfairly though, I think AG is getting a lot of the blame. I don't think it's that simple. I think there's more factors at hand. In my opinion, the only player that's actually playing well would be Shotzzy out of this entire group.
I think Dashi had a good stage as well compared to everything, but it's just the search was so bad. And the crazy thing is that Pred's S&D numbers going into the major, he had a 0.72, and it got worse at the major. Like, that's how you know it ain't gone particularly well. I mean, Pred with a red rated card is like something that I never thought I'd actually ever see. But yeah, these are the OpTic Lineman cards for the stage.
I'm sorry though, but like for OpTic fans, just go after one person. Like one person's getting shit on is outrageous to me. This is a team effort. Something's wrong in the camp, and they've got to fix it together. Stop going after one player. It's not like you've just watched like OpTic just go down, you know, lose 1-7 in series count over the month. Like, this is a collective team effort. If it was one person getting shit on, you know, everyone else frying like 1.2s, 1.1s, 1.0s, and then someone just having a consistent 0.5, like, I would agree with you. But this is bigger than just one person getting shit on. I understand the play styles are a little bit weird too. I feel like, I don't know, ever since they started losing, have you not felt like, you know, they've looked a bit like hesitant to do stuff, like Pred hesitant to hit something out straight away, or Shotzzy. I mean, Shotzzy just gonna be flying anyway, but something just seems off with their play style, and it's like they're not. It's like it's the first time they've ever teamed, you know.
Yeah, clearly the confidence has taken a hit.
It's like when you watch him play, specifically in S&D, it's like there's a lack of trust. Like I don't trust the guy next to me type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, will he get my trade? Will he move with me? Are we moving coordinated at the right time? Is this call out correct? Like, is everything going right now? And I think specifically, Trey, I would love for you to comment on this as well. Like, when a team is playing this terribly in S&D specifically, S&D is a trade out game mode, right? It's all about comms, info, and communication. It's not that much else to it. If you're messing up an S&D this bad with this much talent, it's deeper than just. It's got to be deeper than just strats, bonehead plays. Like, I want you to kind of expand on that idea. Like, if you're doing this bad in S&D, there's got to be something deeper in your team that's wrong.
The issue is that like they've gone from clutching up at every S&D at the event, and it was clutches. We're talking 1v2s, 1v3s. We're talking 0.1 second on bomb. Like, I said this on the dope check after Major 3. Like, that's not consistent gameplay. That's never gonna happen again. Like, ever. it's impossible to 1v3. It's impossible to 1v2 like this. It's not a consistent way of playing. I think we can all agree in the chat too that OpTic didn't even look great at Major 3. They just looked very, very good in the finals. On the Sunday, let's just say, looked very good then. Like, I think this problem is bound to happen, and it just sucks it's happened now. Their S&D sucks, and even their respawns doesn't look the greatest, let's be honest. Like, it's something's off, and I don't know whether it's the players not wanting to play with each other, or, you know, I'm seeing a lot of people say Kenny and Pred, like, Kenny's fed up with Pred's bullshit. Like, I don't know what the bullshit is, but like I said, you look at their player cams when they're playing, it don't look like they're having fun. It don't look like they're vibing.
I mean, I've got a couple of tweets I can share as well. Obviously, this is Vikul talking his shit. I'll just play this one real quick.
Que sepáis que se vayan a tomar por culo, porque aquí hemos entrado nosotros y hemos ganado. Fuck OpTic, fuck the green wall. Vamos!
I mean, like, that actually went hard. Look at the venom in his words here as well. Like, he actually just spat that shit out. Fuck OpTic, fuck the green wall. That's crazy.
That shit was lingering in a cerebellum for a bit. He was like lingering, waiting for that to come out. Like I mean,
apparently he's been like catching death threats and shit, Vikul, in his Twitch chat. So like, apparently that's why.
Oh
like,
yeah, of course. I mean, bro. I mean, it's always gonna come back to fucking bite him. Even like, bro, that's gonna come back to bite him in the future too. You know,
for sure, 100%.
It always will, because
when OpTic beat him in champs, like I'm ready.
Somehow, some way, the script is going to be written for them to see each other in champs again, and it's going to be the part 2 of this. So that I told him that too. He came to the back, and I was like, bro, that was gangster of you to do that. But like, just the script somehow this is going to bite you in the ass, and I don't know how it's going to.
Nah, you got to do that at champs. Like that's like you only do that at champs. Why? Because you've got like a 5-month off season. You know, like can't nothing. Because listen. OpTic fans are not only going to follow this team now until they go out of champs, or, you know, if they win champs, then they're going to be fuming. But, you know, not only is OpTic going to be following this team now, and if they do bad, it's just going to be
preying on their downfall, bro.
Yeah. It's going to be every single league match next year, too. I don't think they understand, like, these OpTic fans, they don't forget. These guys, they've got heretics, all 4 lined up on the dartboard, ready to just start smoking. Dashing darts about Vikul. If Vikul has a bad series, he's gonna know about it. And guess where he's gonna know about it? Reddit, Twitter, Instagram comments,
it is
letters
DMs.
home, emails, carrier pigeon. Like they're gonna let him know. Like these guys, yeah. Like, listen, there's OpTic fans in the chat. And they've already got they've already got, you know, the heretics boys, their head on pitchforks and burn them alive and stuff like that. Like, I'm telling you, bro, these guys are fucking mental.
Yeah, I'll keep it a buck. I know there's people in the chat saying it's probably not that serious. Of course, like, you know, esports fans sitting in the basement and texting you or writing to you some version of a threat is probably not gonna be acted on. Probably. At the same time, it's still pretty just oddball behavior. And I tweeted once OpTic his ass after they lost the series in a really bad way. I think this is in Vanguard, maybe. Like, this is a couple years ago. I just tweeted out OpTic his ass. It got like 1,000 likes. But yeah, in my DMs, I actually did have people threatening to harm on me. That's real. So like, I don't want people to discount the fact that is a possibility here. And doing it this mainstream and this big time, I was just a stocksman. I was streaming stocks. I wasn't really in COD like that. Like, to a big degree when I tweeted that out, and I still had OpTic fans coming at me with some crazy energy. So, yeah, Vikul did this. It was a big, you know, big balls, big huevos, as they would say. It was a big huevos, you know. I'll say it like that, but damn, man, like, he was in the moment. You know, they had this rivalry going on. He's also, you know, OpTic have also like done the signs back at him. They've kind of, you know, they've played with him a little bit. So, hey, man.
Oh yeah, but the beef's different though. You know, it's
we
like
need some good narrative.
No, like, trust me, the back and forth's good. I love it. All right, I'm just saying, like, it's unfair on the OpTic side. You know, OpTic do it, they don't get no shit. You know, you do it to OpTic, you're fucked. Like, it's like me going after Scump. You know, Scump could piss slam me 3-0. Scump could piss slam me 3-0 and go, yeah, this guy's fucking dog shit. And I'm like, ah, shit. If I do it back to him, I'm like, yeah, you're fucking dog shit. Next thing you know, I've got no legs.
Don't work like that, Trey. Yeah, you know, don't disrespect the king. Come at the
I've got
king,
no
you miss, not
legs.
miss.
Your mentions are ruined. Your legs are ruined. Somehow, everything in life is just fucked up if you go after the king. It's just what it is.
Yeah, I end up, I'm walking out, I go Chipotle, and next thing you know, I black out, wake up, and I just Scump sat at his throne, and I'm just getting absolutely battered by the OpTic fans. It's crazy.
Yeah,
The hype
organs
squad,
are all
the
gone.
hype squad are surrounding you, doing a seance ritual, cutting your liver out. Green Wall King, we offer you a sacrifice. It's just, it's very serious. Very serious.
Don't you dare disrespect the king again, Mother. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Vikul better triple lock his doors and shit, because, you know.
Also, happy birthday to Scump. Happy birthday to Scrappy. I know there's a few birthdays going on, so happy birthday to those boys as well. Just I remember that right now.
Yeah, it was Scump's birthday, I think, yesterday. There was another, I think it's Scrappy's birthday today, and it's one of that. So on
Yes,
yeah. This was the Dashi tweet, by the way. There was a couple of interesting tweets coming out of OpTic after this one. You know, as Dashi says, can't even describe this. GG's man, we got to lock in for champs. That's basically what the OpTic boys were saying. They're like, okay, yeah, we're going to lock in now. I'm like, we've not been locking in already? Or like, what's
This is my favorite. This is my favorite, yeah. This reminds me of like when a player gets dropped. He'll get dropped and he'll tweet, I've got the fire. I've got the fire back. It's like, I thought you didn't have that when you were competing. Like yeah, it takes you to get dropped to have the fire. Like those tweets annoy me. Like, oh, I'm fucking back now. Like they drop. I've got the fire to compete again. It's like, motherfucker.
Yeah, Arsky said that shit.
You ain't trying,
bro. Like, haven't we, Rab? Haven't we seen these kind of tweets from them for like years, bro? Like, hasn't it just been the same thing over and over again, kind of?
Right, like, okay, we got to talk about the consistency of this at OpTic. And I know that Ben was getting roasted on the flank the other day because he was making the point of like, why aren't OpTic fans annoyed about this? But I actually think what he was trying to say was misconstrued somewhat, and I think he was making the point of like, OpTic fans absolutely should not be accepting of the way that their seasons have gone for the last few years. And exactly what is behind it, who knows? And like, it was my feeling, I obviously criticized some of the individuals on that team for the majority of the season, and you know, I felt somewhat humbled after the result at Major 3. Obviously I was happy that OpTic won because, you know, people watch and storylines and drama and all this stuff, but I felt like, okay, well, my opinions on this OpTic team were somewhat proven wrong by the result, and the feeling that I had that they had the potential to be the best team since the dynasty was proven right to some degree. The reality is that since then, things have fallen back into these same patterns that we've seen with OpTic for the last several years. I mean, we've talked about it before. The last time they made a World Championship Grand Final was back in 2017. Ever since then, it's a very consistent trend. They will start the season pretty well. They will probably win an event, if not get very close to it in the early part of the season. Then the wheels start to fall off, whether that's online or on LAN, and something happens within their camp. All of a sudden, the team doesn't do so well. They bomb out bad at an event just before the World Championship. They turn up to champs. They get top 4, maybe top 3, something respectable, but it ain't good enough, you know? Probably not in another Grand Finals. Didn't have the momentum going into it like teams, let's say like the Subliners, that are absolutely locked in and have their 100% best mentality, I would say, in the league when it comes to being the best team possible, and the coaching staff plays a big part of that. They're always the team on the upward momentum going into the World Championship. OpTic, like, it hasn't felt that way in a very long time. And I don't know what causes it, really, because it's a consistent trend. It doesn't seem to matter what you put on the team. Karma's there now as the coach. Kenny's there now as the in-game leader of the roster. But nonetheless, we see this trend continue. And, like, you know, I think it's super frustrating if you're an OpTic fan, because yet again, on a season that OpTic look poised to, you know, try and go back-to-back or win champs. And it's not like it's impossible for OpTic to win champs, obviously not. But it's just such an uphill battle. And I feel like I've seen this story so many times before, that I just don't know what the solution is other than some sort of cultural problem within the OpTic team, at least in terms of, you know, weighing up the value of winning on some level. Because I think, you know, you look at the way that New York operate as a structured organization, they are set up to win more than OpTic are, just straight up.
Trey, you've seen chatter, right, on Twitter a little bit, and people saying that after this event, and if they don't place top 2, pretty much, if they're not in Grand Finals at Champs, we could see the team make a change. Do you agree with that take or no? They won a major, so I mean,
it's a hard, like, listen, everyone strives for greatness. You know, it's hard. Like, I mean, we asked you the same question. Like, let me ask you this: it's like, you know, New York just won an event. If New York just won an event, yeah, like let's say they don't win champs or they get like top 4 at champs, for example. Yeah, do they make a change after just winning a major?
I think, well, I will say, just in the New York's case, New York has proven that whether they win or not, if there's an upgrade available, they will make the change. Whereas OpTic, specifically, let's say in Dashy's case, we've heard that they've had some flip-flops with him, whether to keep him or not. There were upgrades available, and they chose not to move. So I think that might be a cultural difference that we're speaking of a little bit here, maybe with Rab's point a little bit. That cultural difference is there. Brand versus talent is kind of maybe the argument here. Or not even talent. Excuse me. Sorry, I don't want people, like OpTic fans, to fucking jump on me right now. Talent's the wrong word, but team chemistry, team meshing, like the perfect balance of a team, not talent. Sorry, go ahead.
I understand that. It's just my point of like, for me, OpTic don't win champs to make a change. I think something's gone on over in that camp. And that's not intel, that's not me, that's not intel, that's nothing like that. I just think something's happened over there. And the team ain't teaming.
This like picture right here, by the way, was, I think, after they'd won map 4. I'm pretty sure. So, like, this weren't after they were out of the tournament. I'm pretty sure this is after they just won that Rio hardpoint and were going map 5. Like, you know, if that don't show that they're maybe not got the level of confidence that they need. You know, my feeling is, it's just speculation on my part, but like, my feeling is that what happens, it's been talked about elsewhere as well, but it's like you come back from the major, you play a few series, it doesn't go so well, and then there's talk about, oh, okay, well, it's online cheese, or we just won the event, like, obviously we're still really good. We just lost to Vegas, okay, Virginia server. We just lost to ROKKR, that was, you know, weird one, like, certain war map, or, I don't know, like, online cheese. Like, my feeling is that there would have been certain individuals potentially playing down some of the losses online. Maybe Kenny weren't so happy with that. Obviously, Kenny's made it quite clear that some of the plays they're making he wasn't happy with, trying to resolve these situations. And even Kenny tweeted this, right? This has now been deleted. I went to find this tweet, and it doesn't exist anymore. So Kenny actually deleted this after a couple of days, where he talked about not even being on the hill to win the hardpoint. I'm pretty sure this is at the end of Rio, when the hill's about to pop, and none of the OpTic arrows are on the point. And it's impossible to say who exactly made the mistake, because we don't hear the comps. But clearly someone, maybe Kenny, was saying, hey, XYZ player, AG, hypothetically, get on the hill. And then, you know, it didn't happen. Listening to comms, teamwork, chemistry, confidence in your teammates, trust in your teammates seems to be gone. And then this tweet then gets deleted, right? And it's like, well, you know, does that not show something about what might be happening behind the scenes?
This tweet, wait, this Kenny tweet got deleted, and not even on the hill one? This got deleted?
Yeah, I think this got, I just looked through his profile. Let me have a look again.
I mean, I saw it like yesterday.
Yeah, even if I look replies. Yeah, it's gone. Is it gone?
Wow.
Yeah, it's gone. He deleted it. I think all the tweets got deleted. Like, if you look at his tweets, he deleted everything back to like the 16th of June.
No, if I'm looking at it, if he's deleting a lot of tweets and stuff, this is probably like a, I don't know. It seems like maybe it's a conversation. Maybe they sat down and had a team talk. I don't know, but it seems like something. If he went back and deleted everything, there's got to be a reason. Like someone's got to. He didn't just do that randomly, going back days and days on end and delete everything. That's got to be something that like. There's got to be some discussion going on here, for sure.
Yeah, Hector told him, came in and told him to delete that shit.
He probably done it on his own back. Like the tweets.
He also got rid of his pinned tweet about joining OpTic. What's going on here, man?
Wait, for real?
That's what B Prezi said right here at Stocksman. He also got rid of pinned tweet about joining OpTic.
I mean, I don't know when he pinned this, but
I don't know. That's family though.
So up to Kenny. I mean, he ain't been dropped. Like, so,
yeah, I mean, it's still in the bio, I guess. But I mean, wait. One more thought as well. Like, is this a type of problem that if we're seeing like people don't vibe with each other necessarily? Does practice solve it? Trey, like, does practice solve this in 2 weeks? Do you think practice can boil this down?
I mean, listen, I was on a team of Rated, All right, and if no one knows Rated, I think he's probably one of the most influential S&D players I've ever played with in terms of how good he was at S&D. I think he's probably one of the best S&D players in the game. There, he gets my gas. Me and him did not get along. Never. Not. He did not like me. I did not like him. All right, we had numerous amount of second place finishes together. And he just didn't like me as a person, but as a player, he loved me. He respected how good I was at COD. I respected how good he was at COD. I didn't like him as a human. He didn't like me as a human. But when it came down to game time, we locked the fuck in. It was all business from that point out. So, does practice help it? Yeah, I think it can. But like I said, I don't know. I'm not going to speak on it and be like, yeah, no, this is their issue. Kenny don't like Pred don't like Dashi or anything like that. I'm not going to say that because I don't want to put out a false narrative that I actually have no idea what the fuck's going on. I think a lot of the things that don't help right now is the fans, they're only going after Pred, in my opinion. All I've seen is OpTic fans roast Pred day in, day out. Is Pred the issue? Is Pred the issue on the team? I think his play style doesn't help the team in all aspects. I think he's a pretty slow-ish player. We watched him against FaZe back online. He was just laying down a lot. He was playing slow a lot. We're hoping people run into him. I think he's in his own head right now when it comes down to making a mistake or something like that. Yeah, that's me. That was old me.
Rab's comedy for zooming in on your face. That
I didn't mean to zoom in on it. It's because it's such
he squared your face right there. I said that's comedy.
That's because it's such a high resolution image. It was like automatically hello zoomed.
Listen, that was fat me, but listen, like
that's scump in the middle, by the way, guys. This is this is what scum look like.
Isn't that Joe actually?
yeah, that's Joe Penning.
That's Joe, right?
Listen. You don't have to like your teammates to win events to play Call of Duty with them. Does it help out a game? Yeah, sure. Can you lock the fuck in and play with them if you don't like them? Yeah, absolutely. Do they like each other? I don't fucking know.
Trey, can I reveal some intel, man?
Yeah, sure.
One time I walked by Rated and I thought I was gonna die. The smell was insane. I have to reveal that on the show right now. I walked by him one time, bro, and I swear to God, I thought you know that guy in SpongeBob when he's like he's like his nose is on fire. Like, dude, it was crazy. I just have to say that one time, get that out there because holy fuck. Go ahead now. Sorry, I had to reveal that one time because it happened, and I've thought about it. We were talking about Rated so much, the memory came back in my brain. I was like, oh my god, yeah, chat. That's real, bro. That shit is real, fam. Am I lying, Trey? This is no disrespect to Rated. He's an amazing Call of Duty player. I absolutely believe he's a great Call of Duty player. Great
no disrespect to Rated, he says. Oh, I love this.
For starters, that wasn't intel.
It was intel in my brain.
For starters, you just cut me off my tangent because you said you had intel and said someone smells.
That's good work out of us. All right, simply moving on. Let's go back to look. This is a tweet from Kenny. Okay, this is where the fun begins. He says, "We little Star Wars reference. We know he loves it. Is he gonna lock in? What are we thinking, Ace? Because
where did this guy Trey go?
I don't know where he went. He went to court. He went to get Rated on the blower. Like,
my bad. I didn't know that stray was coming in, man. Oh, sorry. Oh yeah, this.
He's got to crack open a. Wait, is this Trey? Is this the special one? Is this the 0?
Oh wait, is that Coke? What is that?
Oh, okay.
Manta.
There
okay,
it is.
That's a good grab. That's a good grab right
Trey
there.
Sugar right there.
I thought you went to go give Rated a call and just say, "Yo, my bad for the stray, bro."
Well, I just told you me and Rated don't like each other, and you think I'm gonna go call him? Yo, Reese, yo, fuck you, Trey. All right, bet my bad.
Yeah, my bad, brother. All right, this is the only tweet that Kenny still has up on his timeline, which is talking about locking in for champs effectively. I don't think I've seen anything from AG, by the way. I don't know if I saw anything from Shotzi. I don't really think that's a problem. I just think, like, no PR bullshit, right? They're not dropping any PR narratives. Like, Pred's just, no words.
Listen, Pred ain't going to say nothing because he knows how the OpTic fans feel about him right now. That's literally it. It's pointless to say a word. He could tweet out and then put the replies on to like following only or no one can reply. That doesn't help it. That just makes it look even worse. It's like when someone gets fucking. It's like when someone's getting cancelled and they do a tweet and they just get absolutely bombarded with shit. Pred would do a tweet like, "Yo, my bad, guys. Like, I'm not playing the greatest." He's gonna, you know, people are gonna support him, but then, you know, you scroll down, he's gonna have 300 replies, 200 are gonna be supporting, 100 are gonna be telling him to get dropped. Like, that's just how it is. The best way to do it. The best way to do it is. I mean, yeah, they probably.
I mean, yeah, there's probably some that. See if there's any recent replies. I just want to see what the replies
are like. Are they just roasting him, or like what's going on here?
Oh, let me check it.
I mean, this is a little while ago. All right, I'm scrolling further. I don't know if there's any new people that have like been hitting him with the replies. To be fair,
it's not that bad, honestly. This is June 23rd. Okay,
yeah, this is when they lost to Boston. Yeah, this is a while ago. He didn't tweet during the tournament.
Okay.
I'm scrolling down now to see if I can find it. There's bound to be some there, to be honest with you, bro. Like, it's just...
Like, just some hating, yeah. Definitely some haters going on there, for sure.
Listen, the guys just won a major, like, and now they're just not doing too well. Like, you guys... Like, it just happens. That's just COD for you, bro. Like...
I guess I will just mention this play, like, just because I did bring it up earlier. We didn't really talk through it. This is the search and destroy route. They go to the game 5. Obviously, they just about close out that Rio to get to the game 5. They're in a good position here. Like, they're up 4-3. Just Pred made a couple of plays that I don't really understand. Like, okay, they get first blood in this round. This one, honestly, I don't think was the worst. The one that was like the worst is when they had a 2v2 and Pred just kind of like ran away because he gets the kill on Rael here. He stuns him. I think the mistake that I would say from Pred is that Lucky gets this kill on Shotzzy, like roundabout here. So Lucky kills Shotzzy from top 3 right here. So this is known that Lucky's up there. So if you're Pred and you go for this Chow, which he goes for the Chow, you're getting traded anyway. Like, it doesn't matter if you get the kill here on Vikul. You're getting traded anyway because you know the guy's right above you. And in fact, Lucky gets the kill before he even gets the kill onto Vikul, right? So it's just, you know, to me, that's like a communication problem, or that's just a bad decision in the moment from Pred, if it was comms correctly. Just because, you know, it's known literally right here, you know that Lucky is up there. So to go for the Chow is like, it's just percentage-wise, it's a bad play. Because if you get the kill, it's a 50-50 because you're going to get traded. And you're probably going to get team shot, which he does, and die. Whereas he can easily back up and hold the site. So, you know, that was my perspective anyway.
You just don't chase kills like that, in my opinion.
I mean, y'all saying it a different way. I think he got fucking slammed.
Nah,
he threw a stun
back as well.
Wait, Lucky shooting him from the top as well?
Yeah, Lucky actually got the kill. Lucky was the one that got the kill.
My point is, like, you know, he's just... He's chasing when he doesn't need to. Like, is he guaranteed the kill? He's not even guaranteed the kill. Like, bro, it's not hard to turn around and pre-aim the fucking pre-fire the door when you think he's coming there. Like, I think if Rael turns around and just drops us the floor anyway, he dies anyway. Like, he's not made in one shot.
Someone said that, I don't know if the stun hit. The stun did hit. That's a 50-50 play. That's like.
Oh yeah, the stun doesn't even hit, does it? It gets stuck in the doorway.
No, it hits him.
Does it?
Maybe
you do see the hit marker.
No, the hit marker's there.
All right, I need to look.
The stun hits. So I don't hate the play only because the stun hits, and then he probably doesn't take the timing of Lucky looking over. He thinks he can probably play the timing out here. It's still a mistake, 100%. I'm not discounting the fact that it is a mistake. But he just trying to make it a 1v1. He's like, I can get this kill. He's stunned. Let me just hit it out. Should he have played it this way? Should he have done that? No, but I get the reasoning. Lucky getting it is just kind of awful.
No, he dies there regardless.
He gets traded out no matter what. 100%.
No, not even traded. Like, he just dies. Like, even if that was a 1v1, I still think the guy that's in chicken kills him there. He hasn't made him one shot, and the stuns don't do that much on this game anymore. You can still move your aim around.
I see that angle as well. I'll just say overall, like chat's saying it too, it's a gamble. He gambled on the stun hitting. I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to get traded out. Kenny 1v1. He's going to win it. It was a gamble play. Whereas instead of doing the higher certainty play of just playing back, letting them push up, they have to plant bomb, by the way. So I get, you know, like the 70%.
Bro went all in with 7 deuce. Like, I mean, it's a gamble, but it's just like a dog shit 20% gamble.
The stun hit, they're getting traded out. And, you know, he's in the best spot possible to stop and plant and bomb. Even if he makes him weak, they know he's scared. Boom, they might even have to rotate bomb. It takes him a long time to do it. He can give out info if they're not. It just ain't a very good play from Pred.
The other thing as well is, like, when you're on defense, the more players you have alive, the better. Like as the guns trade down from 4v4 to 3v3 to 2v2, it just starts to favor the attackers because the defense is spread around the map. So, like this, even if he was guaranteed to trade, like even if this was a guaranteed 2v2 into a 1 versus 1, it's not a good trade because it just favors the attacker. Because then when the attacker's in a 1v1, he gets to choose the bomb site he goes to. Like, I don't know the percentages on like win percentage of 1v1s, but I can almost guarantee you that 1v1s are more often won by the attackers than 2v2s or 3v3s are. So, you know, it's a lot, like, it's a bit nitpicking maybe, but it's like, this is an important moment, right? I mean, you know, you're up 4-3 on a defense on Karachi to go up 5-3 to win the series.
I mean, they lost a lot of numbers advantages too.
Yeah.
Like, they're just not good at S&D. Like,
it's 12 in a row, man. It's 12 in a row.
Listen, I will keep saying this to you guys. Right, the S&Ds they won at the major was a lot of clutches. Like, it wasn't just like straight up team wipes or anything like that. It was a lot of clutches that you probably won't see again. And it was on top teams too. That should not be happening to them either. So, yeah.
Again, I think it all boils down to trust. If Pred had trust in his teammate right there, he would have held bridge. He would have let his teammate rotate. He would have let Kenny get up to top palace and held the spot. But it looks like, I mean, in my mind, it's like it seems like there's not some trust. He's like, fuck it, let me get this kill because otherwise no one's going to get it and make it a 1v1. Bad play, gamble play. Again, it's just another example of their S&D chows, plays, moves. It's just not looking cohesive. It's looking like everyone's trying to play individual ball instead of team COD. And you can see
hasn't this been a thing all year though, pretty much?
where
people have always like said about OpTic's S&D, it doesn't look the greatest.
Their S&D again is very individual play, and it plays around one player making a play throughout the round. Like whether it's Dashy on the island getting a blood or looking, watching something that will lead to info, or Shotzzy, they're playing around Shotzzy making some wild movement play out of a window or whatever it may be. Their strats kind of differ from a lot of teams because it's based around an individual making a play.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this, right? The record is of Boston, right? That they set like a couple of weeks ago. I'm not tripping about that. Like, I know that Surge had a bad loss streak in Surge of like 10, 12, something like that last year. But OpTic on 12, and they're on course to potentially break the record. Like, if they go and lose game 5 to Gorillas and they lose game 2 as well at Champs, like, they will be breaking the record for loss streak in a row. Which is like, I mean, I can believe it, really. I mean, I can't believe it because the numbers are what they are. But, like, if you go on OpTic's breaking point page and you just go and find out how they're doing, it's just L's.
Who has the record, by the way?
Like, look at this. LLLL. I can't, like, when does this happen? I mean, I think it's Boston.
What S&D losses? Yeah, I think it is Boston.
Boston Breach, like this year?
I'm thinking they got to 13 in a row. Check it out if that's wrong.
Boston Breach are running the series.
Anyone in the chat knows, please let me know if it was Boston or it was like fucking Seattle back in the day, or Seattle
last year would have been. I think it was last year they had a shocker. Oh. And to be fair, you got to say, Pred's been part of both of those for what it's worth.
That's why I'm curious if it's another Pred team.
Yeah, but like Pred was actually legit good. I mean, on that Surge team last year, like he was their best Surge player, but also what he does for that Surge team last year kind of overlaps a bit with what Shotzzy is meant to do for this team. So I think there was always going to be a little bit of conflict there. Like, that was my feeling has always been, when you put two players that are that talented together, they in 95% of cases will make it work in the respawns. Like, I think in respawn modes, you're going to find a way to make the pace work. But in Search, when like someone's got to carry the bomb, someone's got to get first bloods, and especially given OpTic have always been a team that have been a bit more individualistic, the whole Pred Shotzzy S&D dynamic just isn't really working right now.
I think I'm gonna add one thing as well, just to that, and maybe Trey can add to it as well. But like, if you have two subs who are dominant and usually have someone like say running in front of them or working for them, I think there's probably times when Shotzzy and Pred are fighting both maybe trying to get to a power spot.
Pred ain't fast.
But he's not a baiter, though. Mac would be running in front of him most of the time. You get what I'm trying to say? Like Max the entry, he's the cleanup, he's the guy who's making the play.
To be honest, last year in Search, like Pred had so many first bloods in Search. Like he was actually the do-it-all.
I think Pred is baiting in this team. Not baiting for people, but he's just naturally slower than everyone.
Fair take.
I think he's the third slowest in the team.
Let me see. Let me check the numbers. Let's see if the numbers reflect that as well. I'm curious.
Pred literally have 0 finesse. Bro,
I think he's the third slowest
wide
in the
open.
team.
Chat is saying right now.
I think Pred is the third. I don't even think engagements really helps it in that aspect of things.
How should we gauge it? Damage then? How should we gauge it?
I'm just gauging it off what I see, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Like in terms of like
lowest in damage, he's second lowest in damage. Dashi is actually the lowest engagement. Which I mean, Dashi does play pretty slow. I'm not gonna lie, Dashi does hold irons a lot of the time.
That's what I'm saying. So in my mind, it would go Shotzi, Kenny, Pred, Dashi in terms of pace.
I do want to just give, again, credit where credit's due. If you look at the overall standings overall just KD and hardpoint and control specifically, Pred actually has the highest KD in the team, 1.08.
Listen, I'm not saying that Pred being slow is bad. I'm just saying like maybe it's not helping. That maybe the team dynamic right now isn't working together with the play styles.
At the same time, I want to give some eyeballs to Dashi's actually play style. I feel like Dashi sometimes, I think Celium gets a lot of the critique that Dashi actually should get. Dashi's very slow. Dashi doesn't move. Dashi irons a lot of the time.
I mean, Dashi gets a lot of shit too. I'm not gonna let that bro. He gets a lot of shit too. Before Pred was on the team, he was the scapegoat.
Okay, actually you're right. This year, understandably, but this year a lot of the focus was first on Kenny, now on Pred. But I think if we talk about slowness, I think the AR duo here, specifically Dashi, he needs to move a bit more. And again, if you get lowest engagements, that's kind of a problem. If you have low engagements with high damage, there's something off there, in my opinion. Dashi needs to move a bit more in the respawns and get them going. S&D, S&D.
Listen. I think Pred needs to move that left stick a bit more. Honestly, I don't think this has anything to do with Dashi. Dashi has to play slow. That's his play style. Literally every main AR plays slow. He runs with the team. I think Pred needs to actually work as a duoship with Shotzi and stop this bullshit laying down and stuff like that you see a lot of the time. Like we saw it on the flank watch party, we saw it on this watch party. Like listen, end of the day, Shotzi's one of the fastest players in the game. You've got to work with Shotzi. That's his play style. That's why you got picked up. Pred literally has one of the best shots in the game. Use that to your advantage and play fast with Shotzi.
All right, one more thing we've got to mention before we move on from OpTic here. This is the tweet from Formal, just because he's kind of, well, actually, I can find another tweet from Formal as well. He's kind of been hinting a little bit, right? Obviously, it was Scump's birthday. Here he is in the replies. Happy birthday, bro. We take over soon. Like, are we taking over the content game? Are we taking over Black Ops 6 on OpTic Texas? Like, what are we taking over, you know? Exactly. Like, what are we taking over here? But, look, as Formal says, this is kind of his feeling on what's happened at OpTic. It's crazy how fast your whole environment changes, which obviously implies that the team dynamics aren't good, but I mean, everyone can see that. Feel bad for the COD team, right? So it's just interesting, really, with Formal giving his perspective on this, because you don't often necessarily see this with Formal. And he knows a thing or two about what it takes to have a winning culture on OpTic.
That's my whole point, is like, you can clearly see something's wrong right now. And it just sucks that I think if a team's doing this bad, and I say this bad, I think if they just had this stage, I think, come off socials, hop off the old, delete Twitter, delete Reddit, lock in with your boys and try and get back to some form, because you already know what happens, man. I've teamed with people, they do bad, boom, instantly on Reddit, do good, instant. They'll read their praises and read the bullshit too. So, I think they just got to get back to some sort of form.
I want to just quickly on this Formal thing. I just want to say that there's no world I see Scump coming back, unretiring. The watch parties are making too much bank and doing too well. He has the breakdown. He has too much going for him right now. Formal, on the other hand, I actually see there's a world where he could unretire and come back to play if he wants to. Scump is chalked. Formal is not. I just want to make that a very clear assessment that if Black Ops 6 is a fun game, we might see Formal come back to OpTic. And I'm not even just spewing. I'm not just chatting shit. I promise you guys. I'm not just chatting shit. If he goes to the watch parties too, I mean, Formal's a legend, had a great career in 2 different games, winner in both of those games. So like, it'd be kudos to him regardless. He's a legend no matter what. But I do think there's a war where Formal comes back and plays Black Ops 6. Just want to put that out there.
Okay, I wanted to do a bit of a dive into a few of the teams, especially the 4 teams that didn't make champs. Obviously, next week and the week after, you know, we've got the champs kind of preview shows that we're going to be doing. So we'll talk about in more detail the teams that are at champs then. But what we've got to talk about now is the teams that failed to make it to the World Championship. So we've got to talk about Ravens, right? Obviously, there was this drama. I'll just play the clip real quick if you guys haven't seen it, because this kind of went viral. We did talk about it earlier, but I'll just play it because it's good time.
The boys get it done.
Back on the fucking desk, Clay. Back on the fucking desk.
You're fucking dog shit, kid. How to get? I'm not winning a map at Champs Finals.
Fucking retire.
They're letting each other down.
Kill yourself, bro.
You're fucking ass, dog.
So there we have it. I mean, this is Clay obviously frustrated in the moment, having got out of the World Championship. I found that whole clip very entertaining. I know that obviously there was some talk about the words that Clay said and all this. Like, I don't know. Like, we were talking about the other day, Trey. Like, I've said some shit in some fucking
come
lobbies
on, bro.
back in the
It's
day.
listen, it's soft as fuck, bro. If you can't take listen, it's soft as fuck, heat in the moment, you know. If you can't tell your boy, you know, to keep yourself safe, then, you know, like, it's just one of those things. You know, what didn't you say back in Black Ops 2? You know, Rab, like you said, if some of the things you said got brought back up now, fuck me, Tactical Rab wouldn't have a YouTube channel. You know, it's... listen, obviously, I don't want to sit there, you know, and say, like, you know, yeah, Clay, I could say that every time, bro. Fuck it. But, like, bro, Clay's just been knocked out of champs. It could potentially be his last season. No one knows what's going on. And you got fucking... I love Scrap, but, like, you know, he's one of the most toxic players that you could probably deal with in terms of losing to him. And then you know he shit talks too. And you just can't say anything back because he's beat you. So, you know, W Clay.
I mean, like, he apologized. Obviously, Scrap apologized to you as well, Ace, when he did the interview with the camera, with the microphone that he was holding in his hand.
Wait, say that one more time?
No, I was just joking. Like, you did the interview with him, didn't you? When he was talking, when he was like apologizing to Clay, or maybe it wasn't.
Oh, the Clay. Oh, you said Scrap interview.
Scrap,
Yeah. We can play that if you want. It's only 16 seconds. It's very short.
Yeah, actually, did you have a link for it? I tried to find it real quick. I can try and find it again. I'm sure I can find it.
It's on my. It should be on my page.
Oh, I'll look on yours. Yeah. No, go on. I'll find it. You go on.
16 down.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say that, like, I mean, I got a good interview. You know, while I was at Major 4, I was getting some quality interviews. You know, but yeah, I just want to say that, like, yeah, man, like, people gotta understand the situation Clayster's in, man. It's not a good one. It could be his last game sitting there on the stage. He just missed champs. Like, emotions fly. Typically, we haven't really seen Clayster really. He's typically like one of the best PR people and just speakers we have in the league, and he has been for years. Even if you, like, on my exclusive podcast with him, he was definitely one of the best conversationalists that I could sit down with. He just was great and seamless. But it's a spotty moment. Also, this is intel. I don't know if anyone knows this or they said it on the flank or anything. Players did not know hot mics were occurring.
Wow. Okay.
Players did not know at Major 4 that the mics were going to be on like that. There was no warning given.
I don't even think
So,
I don't even think CDL knew that.
My point being is that you can't blame the guy if he didn't know. Sure, things are said, right? Things are said, obviously, on, like, any personality, whether an actor you love, a gamer you love, whatever, a streamer, whatever. Off camera, they say things that they would never say on camera. On camera, they have warnings, right? You know you're on. You know you're there. You know your mic is going to be on. In this case, they had no warning from the CDL, so I'm going to give a little bit of blame to the CDL on this one. Why would you not warn the players that anything they say could be picked up? They found out basically after that clip went viral. Everyone in the venue pretty much understood then that this shit could happen. So, yeah, no, stop being soft, people. And as CDL, please, next time if this ever happens again, warn the players, man. Like, don't let this just happen without any type of communication.
It should not. You shouldn't be hot mic out of the game anyway. I think that's outrageous in itself.
I'm down for the content, baby. I don't care what the players think.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'm down for players to keep their job.
After this clip as well, with Scrap addressing what happened, there's also the clip of Clay on the flank. CDL Clips posted it today. He mentioned.
Yeah, I did see that. Actually, yeah. I can play both of those. Play this one real quick from Scrap.
Look up a drink real quick.
Oh yeah, you know, it's never personal with me. I like Clay. Clay's a good person. You know, it's definitely a harsh situation for him. You know, season's over, but it is what it is. It's just in the moment, a little trash talk. He didn't want to fist bump me, but you know, I'm sure we'll talk.
So was that one, and then this is what Clay had to say on like the whole idea of retiring.
Said at the beginning of this year, what's good with that? Everyone kind of ran with it. That it was like I said, I'm not doing Rostermania again. But if Carolina keeps me, I'll play again, bro. I want to play for Black Ops 6.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus, we got Esports World Cup, so off-season isn't even that long.
You should play.
I want to play.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing off-season Rostermania shit again, bro. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, you're not going through all that bullshit.
I'm not doing it again, bro.
Yeah.
I already said.
Yeah, so Clay doubling down on the take that he made at the start of the season that effectively if he doesn't get kept by Ravens and they blow it up and they make roster changes, and if it's going to be all that chaos again and getting signed very last minute because you're not playing for one of the best teams, then, yeah, as for the birds, he ain't bothered about that anymore. But still, Clay wants to keep going. I just think for Ravens, like, my question is really on this team. Are they better than any of the teams that actually did make it? Because if you look at their performance on LAN, and I think they got unlucky in the sense that they had to play Toronto round 1 in losers. But, you know, Gorillas obviously looked nice this tournament as well. So no guarantee that Ravens beat them, especially because they lost to Gorillas online a couple of weeks ago. And that was probably the series, really, right? The series that Ravens lost online to Gorillas, that cost them a winner's bracket start. That cost them 160 points to start the tournament. You know, just to be fair, I look at the 8 teams that made it, and I do think that they were the correct 8 teams. Like, even though Ravens, you know, had
I'm sorry, you can't even disagree with it, bro. Like, you've had a whole year. If you didn't make champs, you just didn't deserve it. That's the true facts. Like, there's no discussion really. Like, it doesn't matter who you've beat or whatever happened. Like, you didn't make champs. You've had all year, like everyone else, same amount of games, whatever like that. You just didn't make it. Like, you didn't deserve it. Like, that's it, yeah. And you can ask any player that, by the way. You can ask any player, like, you know, everyone's like, oh, we hate 8 teams at champs like that, or like, what's your opinion on 8 teams at champs? Every player will tell you, well, if, you know, we don't make champs, we didn't deserve it. So, you know, that's the pretty standard life of a pro, really.
I want to also give just some a bit of optimism to some people in the chat. I think Clayster does play another year. I do think that with Ravens, they will keep him. He's essentially the staple piece to that team, not only for content, probably for sales as well, for skins and jerseys and stuff. He's probably the only guy that sells a single jersey on that team. They have Gwyn for another year, right? He signed to a 2-year rookie deal. So, you know, you have a reason to stick it around with your coach being your friend, you being the face of the org, and definitely, you know, probably the highest paid on that team. I don't think another team will pick him up. I don't think any other team would want to risk it, but I actually assume that we do see Clayster next year. So I want to give that kind of positive news, not only from his own words, but from my own thought process of just how everything's kind of laying out for it from my sources, my intel, my contract knowledge of what's going on. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be locked in for 1 more year.
That's exciting to hear. I mean, look, I don't want Clay to go anywhere.
No one does. I will say this, though. I will say this. Regardless if Gwyn's locked into a rookie deal or whatever like that, I do think he'll try and force himself out of that roster.
I mean, someone might come try and get him, you know what I mean? Like, and impossible. But it also depends on what happens with the organization, right? Like, I don't know if there's any guarantees in the CDL right now.
I see what you're saying. It's a good point. But I want to jump ahead so bad, but I know we're going through the teams in order, so I'll try my best to keep
Which team do you want to jump to? Because I'm happy to jump.
I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind not talking about the bottom 4 teams.
Like, well, look, I want to just quickly mention the teams that didn't make champs, just because, like, we're probably not going to talk about them again until they start blowing it up and making roster changes. So, like, I want to give a quick. All I'm going to do. I'm fed up with talking about Boston, right? Like, obviously, we've got some feedback the last few episodes, which we always appreciate feedback in the YouTube comments, this type of stuff on, you know, talk about some different teams, which we absolutely hear you on that. So, and Boston have obviously been a big team to talk about because they've been so bad, but I don't want to talk about them anymore. All I really want to say is, how many of these 4 players do they keep on next year's roster? Just want a number, really.
1.
Which player do you think? I want more than a number now.
Don't you say Snoopy. I'll lose you.
Snappy. It's gonna be the I can't think of a good nickname for him. I wanted to think of a good one, but I couldn't. It's Snappy. They're gonna keep him for another year. 100%. No question, no doubt.
100%, or like or no?
100%. He's staying another year. Not confirming, not denying anything. That I'm ignoring what Trey's saying completely and saying that I'm telling you, Snappy is staying on the team.
We're not talking about this team anymore.
All right, let's just move.
Staying on the team. Beans, maybe, but Snappy is actually going to remain, and whoever is going to go play on that Boston Beach organization is going to have to agree to play with Snoopy.
I feel like Beans gets in the league, but hopefully on another team. But we'll see about that.
No, Beans 1,000,000% stays in the league.
Okay, moving on from Boston. I don't care anymore. Okay, Minnesota ROKKR. We gotta do it. We gotta do it. See ya.
And that's why we skip past those. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
and that's it for the season, by the way. The Boston boycott has officially begun. We ain't talking about them anymore. Okay, ROKKR, they were out of there. Of course, Lamar comes back in. They tried, but like again, this is the kind of the question I have on this team. Had they kept Vivid and not Standy, would they have made the World Championship?
That's a deep question, but I think I'll give my honest opinion. I think with Reese, it had to be Reese and Eli or Reese and Tom, Linz. It couldn't be Tom and Lynn. It couldn't be Linz and Standy. I'm too many first names here. Linz and Standy is a tough combo. You needed the pace of Reese with one of them, but this duo was just, I think, the wrong sub duo to put together.
But I think this was the wrong sub duo and the wrong AR duo. I don't think this is a one-piece change. I think Gunless coming in didn't help. Love Gunless to pieces, but he's too slow. Plays like Lamar, too slow. Same as Standy, plays too slow. Low key, Vivid. You could even put Purge in there just for some pace, just for some actual in-game something like that. People can disagree or agree with me, but Purge was pretty good for Paris in my opinion. I think he helped Vegas, whatever you want to call them. I think they were pretty good. Not saying they would have made champs, but I do think bringing in Standy and Gunless was a faded take, a faded decision, yet again from Minnesota. This is, I think this is like the third season in a row, fourth season in a row where it's just been a bad decision.
This is what they do, baby. This is what they do. They're making a living out of not making champs right now. It's actually kind of embarrassing for the level of investment and the G2 partnership and the commitment that they've made to the organization and for the fan base they've built. They didn't make champs last year either, did they? So it's getting embarrassing at this point, actually, the way the organizations run. I think they blow up more than a roster. I'll talk about that in a second.
I'm gonna also say too that this series was a heartbreaker. That invasion A spawn was so criminal that oh my god, ROKKR trolled that so badly. Yeah.
They won a map off New York, typical,
I mean, map 3 should have been also a win as well, but let's not talk about that. I just want to say that also just to keep in mind, this team should have been a different. I think I talked about it on the show, did I not? That Beans should have been on ROKKR, but there was some issues with. There was just some issues that couldn't be solved, so he ended up going to Boston. But it actually originally was going to be Accuracy, Beans, Tom, and Standy. So it would have been a bit of a different look to the team, and I think the Beans edition would have been crazy.
Interesting. Okay, I mean that would have been more pace. I think I prefer that to what they eventually did. I'm still not convinced that would have been enough if they had Beans over Gunless, but I mean I guess in hindsight that would have probably made them somewhat more competitive.
Listen, it was the people they bring in. Gunless and Standy just would not work, and we said that from the start. And look at that, we're saying it at the finish. They just didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, the only question left I have for the bottom 4 teams, not just ROKKR, is are we seeing the same rosters go to EWC? That's my only genuine question left with these guys. And the only things left that we have to talk about them is that, do they blow it up? Do they swap? Do they swap between each other? the top 4, top 6, top 8 maybe probably don't make too many changes. Honestly, we've even seen.
Why do you tell us?
Well, timeout. I'll say even like Carolina, for example, is taking the same roster that didn't qualify for champs, the EWC, right?
Yeah, you want to know why?
They can't afford another roster.
I was gonna say they're a little bit. They don't want to spend the money.
But all teams are kind of going through it. Maybe besides Boston, but even them, after having this kind of end of your year and spending this much money and all that, you have no return. So like, do you even want to pick up a new roster for EWC like that? You have to spend more money. Like, it really makes me think what we see with these bottom 4 and who goes to EWC. It really makes me think.
Because also you got to consider, like, you've got, this is the same game. I was just going to say real quick, Trey, like, you're playing the same game again. MW3 is obviously different to Black Ops 4. Not like you necessarily make the decisions on that, but it's at least worth thinking about. And then depending on the contract length of the players, whether you sign someone on a 2-week contract, I think that's what I would do. Like, if I was one of these teams and I could, like, I'd sign a player or two on like a 2-week contract and just like try and make it work. I actually think, just real quick, like, there's almost more of a chance of some of the top teams making changes before EWC, even though they're closer to it after champs, just because the top teams will have the resources and they will want to blow it up if they don't perform well. And they will also like have internal problems. Whereas a team that didn't make champs here that fell out 9th, like, you know, do Accuracy, Gunners, Lins and Standy hate each other? Probably not. Like, you know, they just missed out. Whereas if you're on a top team that just bottled at the World Championship, like, there's going to be some friction between the players. Like, I don't think these guys, maybe they will, but I don't know. Like, the teams that are bowed out of champs now, they probably aren't going to refuse to play with each other in like a month. Whereas on a top team, they might say, well, what the hell's the point? Like, we've got to blow it up because X, Y, Z. We'll see.
I mean, listen, what's it like? It's a month after. Like,
yeah, a month after champs.
Now, listen, the reason I don't realistically think many teams will change, if not any teams will change, you got to look at it on the money aspect of things, right? Regardless if a top team's got money or hasn't got money. The orgs don't particularly make money from the event wins anyway. You know, for the people that are watching what I'm saying, usually when you sign a professional contract, you usually get, what is it, Rab, like, Ace, you know, like 10 to 25% of your winnings taken from you, depending on how much salary you're on and stuff like that.
Some take 5, some orgs take 0, some orgs take 5, some orgs take up to 20.
Yeah. Like, they're not exactly making fucking bread, especially when they got to pay for the flights and everything like that. Like, they're not exactly making money. So, essentially, like, Ravens, for example, they're going to be like, yeah, fuck it, we'll just send the same team. We don't have to spend any money on 2-week terminations, 2-month terminations or anything like that. We don't have to sign anyone else. We'll just send them. Because essentially, if you do win the event, what is it for first? Like, 200, was it 200,000 each, whatever like that? Or 50K each? I don't know what it is. But,
no, it's more like what you said. It's probably about, it's like 750K for first or something. So
yeah. So essentially, like, when you end up getting taxed and, you know, end up taking the winnings, you ain't making money still. So, you know, it's that's another issue for these teams. They don't want to spend extra money if they don't have to, especially it not being a COD League event as well. They don't particularly care. It doesn't affect their season at all, really, like that. It's just a money aspect of things for this.
Yeah, so we'll see what ROKKR do, I guess. The other point that I was going to make on ROKKR is, like, obviously Brian Saint was there. We gave him some flack for good reason. He goes to Ravens. They also don't make champs, to be fair. Questions on that. But, like, someone made those decisions mid-season to make the changes they did. Someone made the decision to... Obviously, they were going to have that other roster with, like, the Slasher, the Dylan Rex thing that they were looking at. They didn't decide to pull the trigger on that. And so, like, there's questions to me whether Minnesota keep Looney around, right?
You gotta think Trey's got to be a coach in some aspect of life, right? You gotta think.
You gotta think.
You gotta think a top 50 CDL player becomes a coach. Come on, you gotta think.
Maybe top 45.
Right. Maybe top 40. Listen, I'm sat right here, CDL teams. All right, I'm coming back.
All I'm saying is, like, if Accuracy decides enough's enough, and he may not, like, if Lamar wants to keep playing and a team's willing to, you know, give him the keys or whatever to keep on going, then that's fine. But, like, if I'm ROKKR, I'm saying to Lamar, like, hey, look, you just want to be our coach.
If I'm ROKKR, if I'm ROKKR, I'm saying to the whole fucking roster, bye-bye, salutations, bye-bye. How do you say adios? Just Eddie. How do you say it? How do you say bye in French? Au revoir. Get the fuck out of the facility, okay? That's what I'm saying, honestly. The whole roster.
You wouldn't keep Linz?
Me? No, I'll keep no one.
Damn, Shadow GM again, Ace is coming to play right now.
I'm cool with all these guys, right? I have no issue. I'm just saying, if I place outside of champs, I don't make champs my roster. I don't know if it's worth keeping anyone. That includes Lamar, that includes Linz, includes Pierce, this includes Eli. At that point, I'm sitting back and really reassessing my options. Additionally, to say too, keep in mind one more thing, guys. I know some people in the chat are probably like, "What the fuck? He's daggering his cousin." No, I'm not. I'm not. Listen, it's also just as an organizational business aspect. The only profitable organization in the CDL is which one? Rab, you want to tell me? You know,
Vegas Legion, baby.
Vegas Legion. And the reason is because they pay the minimum.
Carolina's up there too.
They are break even, as far as I know.
Well, the reason I know that and by profit I don't mean they're making hundreds of thousands. It could be 5K, 10K, whatever like that. But the reason I say that is they're smart too. They use sponsor money to pay for players' salaries. That's their budget. Their budget is what. Yeah. Their budget is whatever they get for sponsors.
My basic thought was just ROKKR and some of these. I mean, it's not just ROKKR. It's other orgs in the league as well. It's like try to aim to be profitable. Maybe not pay them in, but if you don't make champs, it's probably time to just kind of reset. The coach, I think Looney did. You know, I think Looney's a great coach. I think he's a great player, a great coach. He's a very knowledgeable person. I think having him and Alex, who's also the analyst, they're great guys together. So no issue there. It's just you got to kind of reset, step back, new game, see what the fresh talent is out there, and get some guys together that can potentially make a run in Black Ops 6. And I could shadow GM right now, but I don't want to give up some of the names that I have in my head right now for like a really good potential roster.
No way he's gatekeeping the source until they pay him the bag.
Listen, I have a roster in my head that I have to first find out a couple things that are happening behind the scenes before I can bring it up here. But there's
is this guy moving like Doug sense of mind, Joe? What are we thinking right now? Look at this guy. He's checking with people behind the scenes to get the contract signed. Jeez.
I think the issue is as well that, like, you know, we don't look at COD coaches as like football coaches or NBA coaches or anything like that. We look at them as just like they're there. All right, you got to understand as well. I always say if a COD team's doing bad, you can look at the players for starters, and if you continue doing bad after that, you got to start looking beyond the players. All right. Obviously, the coach can't play for them, but there's obviously some methodical way that the coach wants them to play or gives them the ideas how to play. That's what I think. You know, when I say we need to blow it up a bit more, I mean, like, you know, we say Friendship League. Some of the coaches that have been in the league for a bit too long, they stay for a bit too long too. I know Rab's got something to say on that. I know Ace has something to say on that too. There's a few coaches that they don't think should be in the league.
I just want people to be held accountable, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to make bad choices, like...
There are some coaches out there that deserve a spot. There are some coaches out there that don't deserve a spot. Fuck, I joke a lot of the time. I genuinely would love to be a coach. I genuinely believe I'd be a very good coach. Do I deserve it over some challenger coaches that have been coaching this whole year and deserve to get in there? No. That's a fact too. But, you know, if anyone thinks that, you know, yeah, but no, end of the day, bro, like, that's just how it is. You know, like, we gotta start holding everyone accountable, not just players these times. So
we're probably the only show that, like, out of all the shows, we're the only ones that really bring up the coaches. Like, I feel like no other show really calls out the coaches and what they do and their responsibility in making some of these teams better and developing out some of the players, like the rookies especially. They don't. They're the only ones that really push that.
How do you think no one fucking likes us?
Well.
We've boiled down. We've got to the bottom of it, Trey. Holy shit, you may have done it.
Hey, all I need is hose money and my stream, man. Other than that, I'm good.
No dope check? What the hell? Toxic ass man, bro. What about us?
This is the stream you was talking about. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's the stream, bro. Like, chill, man.
Yeah, chill.
Okay. All about him.
Final team that didn't make champs is the Las Vegas Legion. They fell short.
Man.
I mean, man, this was brutal actually, because the way that they lost that series against Surge, I know I could see it coming, but wow, this was a criminal affair to lose this one, the 3-2. Obviously, they beat Boston, then they had to beat the eventual champions, but this would have done it, right? Like, they win a crazy game on Karachi, they were up 5-3 on the 6-star. Like, if there was one series where attached not to have a stinker, it was this one. And he even had a stinker in the game 5, to be fair, like losing a few rounds that you'd normally expect him to win. So that was tough, because he's obviously been great for Legion over the course of this season. But like when it really mattered, Attach had a rough time, couldn't lock in the piece of the pie, and they're out of there, right? But clearly there's so much potential in here. The issue, I guess, for Vegas is that probably what they're going to do is their entire team will be dropped, because it always is, because they want to save money over the off-season, and then they're going to re-sign players again. But arguably, if you're Legion, you should try and re-sign a couple of these guys now if you can. Just because I think otherwise, like I don't think if you're Legion, you're going to do much better than this next year.
You don't. The thing is with Legion, they don't have the choice.
What do you mean?
Like if Attach is going to get signed to a different team.
I see. Like you're saying, like they can't match offers type of thing. Is they're trying to go.
Well, Vegas could be like, yo, we'd love to keep Attach and Nero. Like, them two are gonna go as far away as from there as possible if they can, and if they can't, then they're just like, yeah, sure, we'll come back. Like, fuck it, yeah, run it back. Like, but listen, end of the day, like Vegas just don't have the aura. They don't have the pull.
I see what you're saying. When I look at this roster, I do think. I mean, I've spoken on Attach, and I feel like he's ended the season with the 5th highest overall KD. Let's keep that in mind. Only guy outside of the top 4 that's even on that list. Like, Attach is definitely a respectable player, regardless of anyone's thoughts on him or whatever it may be. World champ, has rings, has titles, historic player. Attach should be on a better org. Nero as well, I think, is someone who's put himself in a position of success, showcased his talent. On Boston Breach also, you know, I think he got kind of screwed over from this last year to this year in terms of where he ended up, but it happens, right? It happens. Gio, I'm pretty sure is going to be on this team next year just because of how the contract works. I'm pretty sure he's going to end up on this team again. Oh, Johnny, probably not. That 4th slot's probably open. In my eyes, I see Vegas Legion going to be pretty much Gio and then 3. Who that is, not sure. If I'm Attach, if I'm Nero, I'm probably looking at LAT, Boston, NY just won an event, so that's pretty much chalked. Top 4 is pretty much chalked all the way around at this point because everyone's won an event this year, so it's pretty tough. But probably Boston or LAT would be my 2 shouts for them. Maybe ROKKR. Maybe Dylan makes a reunion on ROKKR and gets makes another fresh start roster on there. Maybe with Nero, but I don't really see too many other options for Legion besides maybe Gio and 3. Picking up some M's and working with that.
I can LAT for Attach just because someone said they heard Nadeshot say that he's investing into COD next year.
Oh. I'm gonna need a clip on that.
Investing into COD. What does that mean exactly? Any more?
They're back. They got money back.
Yeah, they want to invest more into COD next year, so you know you can probably see them big boy bucking it again. Not.
Nadeshot's taking his stream money and directly taking some of that.
Way. That's why he's been streaming so much. It's crazy.
Now listen, I'm not confirming or denying because I didn't see the clip, but someone said Nadeshot said he was, gonna reinvest into COD again next year. So.
Genuinely, I would absolutely love to see this team. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit just because of who the 4th person on the team is. I would love to see a roster. Absolutely love to see a roster of Attach, Ghosty, Nero, and Estreal. That would be my absolute favorite roster out of pretty much who's left in the league that could compete with some of these higher ranking teams.
Nero and Estreal is nice, I ain't going to lie.
Boston is probably the only other org with the money that could form something of this caliber. I would say Boston's probably the only team that could form something like that money-wise, but they've kind of ruined their chances with what they've done this year to Slasher and being forced to play with
anywhere, baby.
Thank you. Yes, and being forced to play with Snoppy's kind of ruining your chances of building a good team.
Stop it.
So,
I think
I would love
I
to
think
see that team film, though. I would love that.
I think Nero and Estreal would be a bit chaotic. Love them too. Like, you know, they're both fry, but I think together, fuck me, you wouldn't know which one's running at you.
Hey, bro, the Omni moving in Black Ops 6 might just be the perfect game for some head cases to start jumping around and moving.
Bro, we're gonna see some hilarious gunfights with that. That's what I'm saying. Corkscrew gunfights.
Let's talk about the team then, Ace, because we've talked about the teams that didn't make it. We believe the teams that did were the teams that deserved it, including the Los Angeles Guerrillas. This was the story of the weekend in many ways. A team that, you know, I don't think I'd completely counted out, but going into the weekend, Doug Leby had them at like 5% to make it, like a low percentage chance because their bracket didn't look good. They weren't looking that good online, but again, they turn up to LAN and deliver results. Like, I think, like, Parasite makes an interesting point here about the culture, the way that the team was built, picking up players from challenges that like and know each other. And, you know, several shows ago, when we first started to do predictions as to who was going to make champs, I did say in one of the episodes Guerrillas was going to make a change. I think it was I said that they were going to drop Assault for Flames and then they were going to make champs. Now, I will admit, before everyone goes and finds that clip and says that I'm absolutely God's gift to Earth in terms of predictions and I'm up there with Trey, I subsequently backed down on that. So I should have fucking stood on business, to be fair. But whatever, if you find the clip out of context, then it sounds good, I'm sure. But yeah, Guerrillas made it, wow. So typical getting top 3. I think the problem for them was that when they really got to play the teams that not only have the teamwork, but they also have the firepower, that's when they were kind of inevitably going to get exposed. But when they play teams that have firepower, but not as much teamwork, they can genuinely beat any of those teams, which is why I'm legitimately concerned for OpTic in the first round of the World Championship. But I just think this shows like the Guerrillas project this season, that is potentially the way to go, right? Like you compare Guerrillas with what Boston have done, and you see two different outcomes. Like this is actually what Slasher implies in the reply when he says, well, I'm shocked that teamwork is important. I thought you just get cracked. So it's basically said, yeah, they forced me to play with Snoppy and the rest of the Boston boys, and the entire strategy was just ram a load of talented players together and hope that it works, whereas Guerrillas have taken an alternate approach. But they've also got talented players in their own right. I mean, you know, Estreal is odds-on favourite for Rookie of the Year after this tournament.
I think you just got to tip it that everyone wrote them off just due to online COD. You know, we were about that too.
2 top 6s and a top 3. Like, you got to say, at the end of the season, a top 3, a top 6, a top 6.
We did. We were writing them off. The fans were writing them off. We even said, fuck, like, half of these players probably won't even be in the league next year. And now they've just made it to champs. And guess what? You can bet your ass all 4 of those players have not only made champs, but they've all just guaranteed themselves a job next year too, in my opinion. Like you don't just pick up, you don't just have 4 random players in a team, get 2 top 6s and a top 3 and write any of them off. They are clearly all capable of doing something together. They've clearly figured out a system, and here we are.
I'm gonna make it very simple, and a simple breakdown all around. LAG, the level of commitment from that coaching staff is unbelievable. Will Vios, you know, has worked through challengers, worked with a lot of these guys in challengers, and has got them pretty much worked to get them in the league and had faith in that team in challengers, and then brought them in. Assault obviously got replaced, but like brought them into the league now. That's tippable. They have 2 assistant coaches as well who are working for free just to make the team better, just to get a chance in the league, just purely on passion. They had a choice: either go work in challengers for free or come to the league and work for free, but have your name part of an organization. They chose the latter. Them developing from the start of the season to now is just incredible to see. The players, even when I spoke to Estreal and I watched him play early in the season, you can have the video proof if you watch our old dope checks. I loved how he was playing. I appreciated how he played as a sub, and he has the potential, even watching him back then, to be on a higher placed team. Now, the Rookie of the Year argument's a big one, too, for me. There's only 2 names, and any other name doesn't count. Only 2 names that are qualified for champs. It's Estreal or it's Abuza. Unfortunately, these awards are given out before champs, so we got to decide now. Estreal's been here from the start of the season on his main role, has the highest LAN placings for any team that's obviously on the bottom half. He's performed well. He's been a big part of why they're competitive, even when they beat FaZe and stuff. He's a big part of why they're winning like crazy series. On LAN, he's an animal. Online, he's significant. And he's playing from home. He's not even in a facility. He's not in Texas. He's playing from freaking Memphis, Tennessee. The guy's unreal, man. The guy deserves a better spot, which is why I would love to see him next year. I mean, first off, get his Rookie of the Year award, just from being how consistent he was throughout the year. And secondly, get on a better team. And honestly, the camaraderie on this team, maybe he sticks it out with them. Maybe they feel the potential for next year. This roster has it to keep going. And they do something that a lot of teams in esports, and especially COD, don't do. Stick it out, develop, grow, and see your potential. Maybe you move one piece, maybe two, and try to get some more vets in or some great players in. But I like the squad. I like what they formed. I like the culture they're forming. I wish LAG would just give them a bit more support and see really what they could do as a squad.
You know that ain't happening, though.
Who knows? Maybe after a year like this, there's potential that someone would want to invest in them.
Nah, it's just better offers, bro. Like, better offers, better teammates, better players. Like, that's just the stepping stone. That's the ladder they're on right now, It's how people use Vegas as their retire. Like, you either retire or you step up, or you back in. You reignite your career. That's what this LAG team is. He'll end up on unless they win champs, he'll just end up on a better roster or a better name team next year.
You might want to take Flames with him or something. You never know. But to be fair, it's not like he came into the league with Flames this year. But maybe it was somewhat responsible for the fact that Flames ends up on this roster and obviously played well as they made the run that they did, taking down Thieves again, obviously beating Toronto in this first round game. I think Toronto definitely caught off guard here to some degree. I imagine they went in expecting just to slap Gorillas around and got punched in the mouth real quick, and then the rest since then is history. Especially that 6-star hardpoint when Estreal just completely took over the final rotation was just really, really impressive. But like, Gorillas made a great run. We're going to talk about them more, of course, over the coming weeks, just because they are going to play at Champs, and a debate on whether they're going to be OpTic in the first round. I guess the question is, like, is it impossible for any other rookie to get it? I mean, I think it is. Personally, I agree with you, Ace, that it's probably between the two that we saw. The other one that I would consider, I guess, is 0-4 on Surge, but he just didn't play for long enough, right? Like, if 0-4 was here since the start of the year, I think he could have been in, but he wasn't. And for Gwyn or for Linz or for those guys and Geo, for example, who did well, just not making champs means that even if you think that Gwyn was still good enough to win it, which I don't personally think so over the course of the entire season, but even if you do, the CDL is not going to give it to someone who didn't make champs. I think that's just how it is, regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the exact reason why there's only really two names you can pick. The only flubbed part about all of this, in my opinion, is just, again, Abuza played half the year on a different role. So his potential, if he was on his main role the entire year, he probably would have had this thing secured 100%, no doubt, like just locked it in. But that isn't the case. So Estreal with his placements and stuff, I think he just deserves it. I think he's my number one pick.
I think purely just based on placements and how the team is, in terms of not looked at as a top team, don't play in a facility together, kind of just been pushed away by LAG's owners and stuff like that, in terms of, yeah, we'll pay you, but you're on your fucking own. Like, old LAG, they had them in a facility, they were paying for people's Uber Eats, they had business cards, like, they were having players living nice to, yeah, we'll pay you minimum salary, go do your thing. We'll book your flights whenever you need to book. Go do your thing, though. I think just basing it all around there and then coming out with the placements and how the teamwork is together, I think Estreal takes it. Just, I played with Estreal. I think he's unbelievable.
And also LAN placings. So I think Magic Artistry in chat's probably correct that like LAN stats need to be weighted higher, which is also probably where Gwyn falls short, to be fair, in some degree. But also Estreal, I mean, look at the LAN placings. Like they speak for themselves. In many ways. But we've got three more teams to talk about before we round out the show. And those, of course, are going to be the teams that won the entire thing. We are going to do a bracket prediction, Easy Gunner, but we ain't going to do it today because we've got a couple weeks until the World Championship arrives. But look, we talked about the fact the Gorillas took down Toronto in the way that they did. Toronto then turn up to the championship Sunday and they get slapped around on the Sunday by, sure, the eventual champions in New York. But why is this becoming a bit of a consistent trend? Because there were a few teams. I mean, the losers bracket was crazy. Toronto, OpTic, and New York all in losers day one of the tournament, basically. Someone was going to make a deep run, and eventually it was Ultra and New York that won their respective sides of the bracket. But, you know, this was just not even close to being close. And again, we see an environment where Toronto, when things start to go wrong, have absolutely no ability, as even maybe some parallels with FaZe, to regain. Like, they're clearly a better team than they showed here. We saw it online. We've seen it earlier in the season. I think we saw glimpses of it this event. But the reality is they came in here, they got bodies game one, they simply couldn't bounce back at all, and they got completely crushed. I mean, everyone had a 0.7. I mean, it's actually quite impressive. 0.73, 7.4, 7.5, 7.8 across the 4 players on the team. And Scrappy, in a relatively rare occasion, included there. 39 kills over 3 maps. Scrappy got slammed out of the tournament. We saw it against Kismet at the World Championship last year. We saw it at the most recent event in the Grand Finals where they got 4-0 slammed. We saw it even to some degree before Scrappy was on the team when Insight and Clinics were there back in Cold War when they got 5-4'd, up 4-0, lost 5-4 to the Minnesota ROKKR famously at Major 5 in the Cold War season, right? So what is it with Toronto and just having a tendency to turn up to Sunday and getting just bopped? Major 2 as well, people are talking about, yeah.
I'm lost in Trei, Trei, like, yeah. Why is Toronto so bad on Sundays, bro?
I think it comes down to Scrappy not having a fucking masterclass like he usually does. You look at Scrappy, he's pretty much a consistent 1.1 all the time, and I think him not having that KD, and people can agree with me or disagree with me, whatever you like, but the kid's too fucking good. That's why if we talk about value on a team, Ace, you talk about HyDra and Scrap. If they're not playing at their best, their team gets a lot more exposed than FaZe would, which is, I'm not disagreeing with you on that. New York coming out and absolutely demolishing it. It's also a bad time to be an Ultra fan if you play New York, because guess what? New York, no fans. This is their fucking playground. This is where Kismet turns the fuck up. But no, honestly, New York just played out unreal this whole event. They just came out frying, and honestly, you can't even take it away. Like, no one on Ultra played well. It was just a New York slam show. I think it's just one of those matches on a Sunday where it's like, fuck, it wasn't close, it wasn't competitive, and it's like, fuck, back to the drawing board. It's just unfortunate that New York just came out the way they did.
I'm gonna also just, once I saw New York play this series the way they did, that's when I was in full belief that they're going to win the tournament. When I felt
the same way after like map 2. I felt, this is over.
It was a different kind of move. Dante, bro, kudos, absolute kudos to Dante, Sibilance, however name you want to give him. That guy has turned it around and is starting to click this, latter quarter of the year. He is unbelievable right now.
What did he do? And what did he do?
He came on Dope Check.
Wait. He did do that, but he listened to Trei and stopped tweeting random dads.
He did stop tweeting random dads. That is a fact. He did go rogue after they won with his classic smoking a joint tweet.
That's different. That's acceptable. That's like, fuck you. I don't like. That's like a fuck you bitch type tweet. Like
it is. It was nuts on forehead tweet. And I really appreciated that. I'll be honest. Overall, though, his turnaround here, I think, has made HyDra's job and also even Kiz's job so much easier. Skies can play his natural role so comfortably. Skies is like I know he's a main AR, so I'm not comparing in that regard, but he's like a Priesta type player. Skies is not going to give you the 1.3 series. He's not going to give you some crazy stat line. He's your glue player. He's going to play your objective. He's going to hold your spawns. He's going to fill the gaps that he needs to fill, while the other guys just go crazy. Sib turning up here lets Kiz, it opens up the map for Kiz. Kiz now opens up the map for HyDra, and now NYSL, the most dangerous team in respawns, bar none. They are ridiculous right now.
The only thing I have to disagree with your statement on there is that although like Sib's been playing well, let's not get it twisted. He's been playing well pretty much all year, bar a few, you know, matches. I think the most valuable person on this team in terms of actually like winning the best ones and securing things that need to be secured is Kismet. I think he's had a very bang average year or below par year for how well we know what Kiz can do. That when he is frying, it's not Sib that makes him play better. He makes all three of them play better. I think Sib has a role that he's just a good player in general. He just has to shoot straight. I think Kismet is the person that needs to win his important 1v1s to secure things for the AR players and stuff like that. And I think this event just proves it, in my opinion. You know, we've all kind of said like, where the fuck, what's happened to Kiz? What's happened here? What's happened there? You know, you watched him at Champs last year. You watched him when they were playing well last year. Kiz was the bulldog. Everyone was gassing Kiz. You know, HyDra's HyDra. Everyone knows what he can bring. But if Kiz ain't playing well, you can clearly see how it affects the rest of the three players. When Kiz is playing well, fuck me, they look unstoppable. This is what they need to do to go into Champs. They need this motherfucker, Matthew Tinsley, the bulldog. He needs to come back for Champs and show why, you know, he's considered that player. But if that's the case, he can't start off slow for the rest of the year, next year, and the year after, whatever like that. It needs to be consistent. They figured out what's went wrong, I'm assuming, but now it's all about consistency. We've just seen it with OpTic, who just won an event, and now they look like one of the worst teams in the game. New York, which I don't think they will do it, need to come back in 2 weeks' time, how they were shooting, how they were playing, and how they were thinking this whole event, and show why they can win Champs with this team, because I believe they can. They've got an Ultra that don't look very good. They've got an OpTic who are the worst looking OpTic, and they've got FaZe who, in my opinion, it's just going to be a 50-50 who wins that series.
That's a concern, I think, for the other teams that are not FaZe and, well, not Ultra. Okay, what the hell am I saying? Not New York especially. I was trying to say that Ultra and OpTic and even FaZe, Ultra for sure will be feeling a lack of momentum, right? Like, they definitely wanted to come into Sunday, and at the end of the day, no one's going to be that happy or sad that they won Major 4. Like, we saw this after the tournament where Sendo was on Twitter basically saying, who cares? It's all about Champs. But you want to have the confidence going in, which is what they've achieved by winning this thing. Ultra will feel like, damn, how did that happen again? That was LAN. We just got slammed there. That was embarrassing. FaZe will be concerned about the fact that they keep losing in finals, and OpTic are kind of nowhere right now. I do think Kismet, like, obviously I criticise Kismet especially for his play, and I think for very good reason, because the majority of the season, the guy was not living up to the standards that he set himself for last season. I'm sure he knows that himself, and I think it was a confidence thing in part, not feeling exactly comfortable on what to do. Clearly New York have worked on it, and again for the second year in a row, we arrive at this time in the season and the Subliners seem to have a very solid grasp on the way to play the game. The numbers, by the way, the difference is, I mean, even, like, you can see this in the other game modes too, that Kiz had a 1.2 KD at this tournament in Search. His control was a bit better than maybe it normally is, but look at the hardpoint. Over the last few months, he's been averaging 22 kills per 10 in hardpoint, basically. This event, he averaged 26, which is just way more than he was getting for the entire season at a 1.17 KD in hardpoint. So, I mean, last major he had a 0.8 in hardpoint. This major he had a 1.2. So
he's probably
and that's an impactful
looking at that. He's probably averaging like 19, 20 per before this event. Like, average wise per 10, he's probably averaging 19, 20 kills per. Now he's averaging, you know, nearly 27, 26 with an absolutely stellar KD. Like, this is what they need. He's not HyDra. We all know this. But if HyDra and all the rest of his teammates are frying, why can't he? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just opens up everything for him. So I've always said it. I think he's the most important player on the team. Not because it, like, I'm not saying HyDra's not good or anything like that, but when this motherfucker plays good, they win.
Yeah, Kiz is their X factor. Kiz is their X factor, 1000%. I like how now everyone's on the same page. Even someone said in the chat, and I was kind of messaging a little bit in there, but they said Sky's had the worst stage of his career. But I said him playing bad isn't actually bad. That means there's less kills on the maps that he has to clean up from everyone else. Him having a 0.9, whatever it was, isn't actually a bad thing because that means everyone else is firing and he's just getting he's just sitting in hill, filling the gaps, playing the spawns, making sure things don't spawn out. That's a good thing. Having a high KD as that, like Priesta, for example, or Skies, having a high KD isn't necessarily a good thing, or it won't necessarily win you series, actually. That's actually like this is where the KDs can lie to you a lot of the times.
Yeah, I think like for Skies, there were so many moments where Skies would be like, I mean, I think we commented on this on the watch party, like the first game of yesterday, Trey, when Skies started out a map like 10 and 10, 9 and 9, and all of his teammates had 40 engagements. But it's like, if you're Skies, that's fine, because you're just soaking time and everyone else is getting the kills. And, okay, maybe you can debate whether that's a valid strategy or not, but like, I have faith in the Subliners coaching staff. Like, I'm fully convinced that New York have the best coaching staff in the league with Javed, with Sender, what they did at the end of last season. I don't even necessarily just think this from a playstyle point of view, but I think from a mentality point of view, they are the strongest when it comes down to being best prepared for the big events. And we saw what they were able to do last year. Like, if there's one team in the game that I would be confident is not going to take their foot off the gas, having just won this event, and actually is maybe going to go even harder, it's probably going to be this New York team. And I think you can see it immediately based on their mentality, right? Like, the stuff they're tweeting after the tournament kind of shows me, like, I don't know if you see other coaching staffs, without naming any names, necessarily in this way, and I'll bring up a couple of them in a second.
I mean, I've already said Javed is like top tier. Sender gets I think Sender gets lost in this team in terms of, you know, when you think of New York, you don't think of Sender, but trust me, he's there. You know, Javed's always on stage. You know, he's the main guy. Sender's there. You know, lacking a bit of aura. You know, lacking a bit of some aura, but like they're fucking winning. You know, so that's all that matters.
The other question I have for you guys, does this victory vindicate the SIB change? Because in my opinion, absolutely. Although I did see some debate on it in the comment section of my video saying that like they've not won champs yet. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But last year they won 3 events, including champs with Priesta. Does this victory prove that they've made the correct decision dropping Priesta for SIB? There's an argument to be made either way. My feeling is that probably yes, based on Sib's performances. They said he was going to be, you know, a pack-a-punched option. Looking at the way that he played over the last couple of months, you've got to say that it's probably worked for them. Given...
They have to win champs.
Yeah, okay, go on, guys.
They have to win champs for this to even be considered, just because. In my opinion, like Sib's a great player. They're a good team together, but they haven't exactly put up crazy results. You know, to basically say like, yeah, the change worked. All right, they have to win champs. That's where, you know, they won this event, whatever, fair enough. But you win champs, yeah, 100%. I'll give it to you, 1,000,000%. Sib just fries. All right, we know this. They brought Sib in. We know what Sib can do. They won this event. Now this isn't me hating. This is me being real, not negative. All right. New York need to win champs because that's the biggest event of the year. That's the one that won with Priesta. That's where you want the Pack-a-Punch to exist. If they win champs, yeah, 1,000,000% Pack-a-Punch done and dusted. Like, fair enough.
I don't think it's quite as simple as that though, just because like it's so difficult to win champs. No organization's ever gone back-to-back winning champs in history. The chances that they came into this year, had they have kept Priesta and win champs again, are still very low. Like, that's kind of what I'm comparing really for me, is that obviously it's hypothetical, you don't know, but if they'd have played this season out with Priesta at this point in the year, what would their kind of like percentage chance be to win champs in a couple of weeks? I feel like it's at least equal with Sib if they'd have kept Priesta, comparing the two. But
kind of like a hypothetical though, because like right now you would say they got the highest chance of winning champs. If they didn't win with Priesta, they would be lower right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely it's one of those hypotheticals, like, oh, where would Simp be without Abizi? It's one of those ones, you know. It's just, where would HyDra be if Kismet? Where would HyDra win this event if Kismet didn't fry? You know, it's very hypothetical. I just think they have to win champs for this Pack-a-Punch to even exist, in my opinion, because they've won an event, sure, but champs is the big one. That's what they bring him in for, you know. Because you got to remember, they've still got top 12 at one of the events. They've still not. This is the first. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just where it's at for me. Champs is like the one.
And also, they did get slammed out by FaZe on the early days of the tournament, right? Like, we've obviously criticized OpTic slightly earlier on for the fact that they just looked good on one day on the Sunday, and that was kind of true as well for New York this tournament, right? So maybe there's something in that.
I have the rogue take of just Priest on this team this year. They wouldn't be as good. I don't think they'd be that good with Priest this year, to be honest. I think Skies and him would struggle in this game, working together, just how this game plays out, the pace of it compared to MW2, and just MW2's like, God, if we're going to put asterisks on certain things in life, MW2 with no red dots, with no dead silence, is a completely different world than MW3. I think that's a fair assessment from anyone that's played this game. They're two completely different worlds. So Priesta with his team has struggled, even when he had, you know, Austin in a different roster. He was filling well, but he just didn't look like the same player from MW2. So I actually think the NYSL team wouldn't have been as good even with Priesta this year. And that might be a rogue take considering what they accomplished last year, taking nothing away from them, from their accomplishments. But who knows? Maybe that's a little bit of a dark horse take right there.
Grab. What we thinking?
What, have I got to make a decision on this?
I don't think you have to make a decision. I was more talking about our last team.
That's what I was talking about as well.
That's where everyone wants to get into, the last team that we want to talk about.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we are officially.
Some people in the chat, before we jump ahead, some people in the chat asked about like what about Miami, Seattle, and all that. Are we no discussion of them? Are we just going from the bottoms to the tops?
We are going to talk about them next week when we go through, discuss the actual
we've got like predictions and
World
stuff like that.
Championship
Because we've had. Otherwise, we'd be here for 4 hours.
We can't focus on every single team every single week. We can't do all 12 teams. We can't do enough depth.
Okay, boys, my hands are up. Okay, I didn't mean to cause a problem.
No, I'm not carrying it. I'm just
listen,
explaining to the chat how we're going to run the shows the next couple of weeks.
I'll explain this to the chat too. Me and this guy, we live in the UK of A. All right, we don't live where you guys live. All right, if we lived in America, we would do 4-hour shows. That's fine. But right now, as you guys can see, it is 11:40 or 23:40 for you, for my people that have a brain.
Yeah, 24-hour clock when it up.
We can't go through 12 teams. It's impossible because I need my sleep.
Fair enough.
So let's talk about FaZe.
There we go.
This is Draza. GG's New York lost 4-2. I played terrible. On to champs. Interesting for Draza, right? Because earlier in the day he tweeted out, GG's Gorillas 1-3. It's effing Sunday, baby. Like, I'm going to win this shit. And then they got slammed. Okay, so FaZe lose again in finals. Their record in finals is not the best thing that I've ever seen. The reality is that in the last, 9 or 11 finals, they've won, 2 of them. It ain't great. And the debate always is, what causes this? We've seen it before, obviously earlier this season, last season. It's always the thing that holds them back. My point would be, they have had the same issue for the last several years, starting really from Vanguard, with Arcetes. They got rid of Arcetes, they brought in Slasher. They played the year with Slasher. They won an event, similar story every single year, but also when it mattered, top 2s, top 3s, not winning the important series on the Championship Sunday. Slasher goes, of course, they bring in Draza. And Draza, arguably, over the last couple of months, has been their best player, right up there as their best player. Sure, does he have the greatest series here against New York? No, but it's not Draz or Slasher or Arcetes that are the common denominator of this situation. And that is the debate that is had. This is clearly not a fourth player problem. This is clearly a Tiny Terrors issue, or a Tiny Terrors plus Celium issue, whatever you want to say. That is the consistent trend with the issues they have in finals. Now, you want to discuss what that issue precisely is. That's another matter for debate. Is it just yips they get on Sunday? Are they playing with a lack of confidence? Are their comms problematic, which is probably where I would lean, especially when, you know, Celium's calling out on that rear harpoon and you can barely hear what he's saying. I do think FaZe have the weakest comms out of the top 4 teams. I think it affects them when it comes down to these big moments. But genuinely, I felt like on LAN with no fans, it was going to be a different story, and FaZe were going to... The kind of issue with that, with the crowds there making noise and all this, wasn't going to be as problematic. So now maybe I'm thinking, could it even be something else? Is there something else that's going wrong? Because I'm tired of talking about FaZe in finals and saying, oh, well, they just lost to the better team of the tournament again. Because the same shit happens every time. And I don't think that reasoning is going to fly, because you can even look back in Vanguard Major 2, Minnesota events, where they lost to Los Angeles Gorillas in the finals pretty comfortably. And honestly, imagine Gorillas had dropped down to losers and beaten New York. Who knows if Gorillas bloody take FaZe in the finals? Like, these guys can't win for shit right now.
It's hard to say it's a fucking, you know, it's hard to be like, bro, it's one of the terrors, it's one of the cell or anything like that. I think that in winners bracket, they have nothing to lose. Be it if they lose, fuck it, we'll just make a losers run. We're FaZe, we'll fucking be in the grand final anyway. But when the grand finals hits, they can lose and be out and get second. There's no second chances or anything like that. I think they play a little bit more scared in the finals. And for that reason being, like, you know, they're in winners bracket, they can lose and be like, fuck it, we're FaZe, we're going to run through everyone again. We do it when we do it in winners bracket, we'll hit the finals, we'll be blessed. I don't know, you know, I'm not going to sit there and say, like, that's directly what it is, but I think that when they hit the finals, they don't make the same plays they make in winners bracket. They're a little bit more scared in the finals, in my opinion.
I got something. I got something real big brain for y'all. It ties to the pressure. I think FaZe's issue, it ties to pressure, because how can you be in the situations that you are in these winners finals, or let's say late in these tournaments, when in practice, FaZe slams everybody. In scrims, you're slamming everybody. In tournaments in the beginning, you're slamming everybody. How do you get in these high-pressure, tough situations, like against better teams when all the pressure's on, when you don't run into those situations early in tournaments, nor in scrims? It's kind of problematic. When you're a team that's struggling to get better, when you're a team that's fighting in scrims, you know, you have to sit there, review the situations, learn from them, really make it ahead. FaZe, you're just on top. Who do you learn from? Most people at the beginning of the games are taking meta from FaZe. Most people are taking spots from FaZe or OpTic, let's say, for example. But it's typically FaZe that's setting a lot of the standard, whether it's scrims and such. I think their problem is not only just pressure, but it's also just you can't really... It's tough to improve and really get yourself better than a certain point when there's not anyone above you for the majority of the year.
Yeah, I can see probably some merit to that, but the problem is, like, that should not... If you're the best, it shouldn't be an issue. And also, what's the solution? Like, you just got to get better at dealing with adversity in that case. But also, they've had plenty of chances to do that, but it's not like they're short of practice on making finals.
Did you see some of the tweets from OpTic fans? They were like, "Oh, you guys gas up this FaZe team, but they have the same amount of wins as OpTic since Vanguard." Now that, to me, that's the definition of moving goalposts, because go back to MW 2019, they clear OpTic throughout the whole CDL stage. Like, you know, that's what I like to call copium. And I had to bring that up in there just because, like, listen, these motherfuckers are always in grand finals. They just can't win every grand final. They just lack something, and I don't know what it is. I can't speak on it because I'm not as good as these guys. I've not been in that. I've lost a fair few grand finals in my time. I've been there for sure, you know.
Gassing up, losing finals.
Sure. Exactly.
I've been losing
so
finals.
maybe I am there with them, actually. Maybe I might have a decent opinion on it. But like I said, I genuinely think I think if FaZe hit the loser bracket, I think they win the event. I truly do.
It's crazy to think, right? Like going into these events, we don't know who's going to win, but there are 3 safe predictions over the course of the season, and one of which is like almost certain to happen most events. One of which is that Toronto are going to get slammed on a Sunday, at least at some point, whether that's in the finals or not. Another one is that OpTic are going to come top 12 in a major, because that's happened before and it's happened again this year. And the other one is that FaZe are going to get second. You know, if I could put some bag before the tournament began and that FaZe are going to get second, no matter who they're playing in the finals, I don't know who's going to win these tournaments. What I do know is that FaZe are probably coming second, because it's such a consistent trend. I just did want to share this clip of the comms here between FaZe and New York, because this is the game that was pivotal to the momentum. It felt like at this point FaZe had the upper hand after winning the previous couple of maps, after winning the control, despite New York starting that one well. This was a crucial moment, and this is what they sounded like in the listen in.
In the back, kids, watch on the back. He's one shot on the back of Secret. He went to yellow. He ran to yellow.
I'm yellow. Yellow.
Nice. They're spawning on you.
Yellow. One shot. Yellow.
Nice. You're by yourself.
Hey, it's all you.
They're running at you.
Do yellow.
Dante, one shot right street. One shot right street.
I think I left, bro. I'm through garage.
Yeah, take left fronts.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Zeke Paco.
Yeah, one's already bending. One's bending, middle. Nice, one's bending. Nice, two dead. I'm about to hit this shit. I'm bending this shit back.
I think this 20 has Zach's block.
Zig weak. Zig is weak. Dante.
Paco spawned out then, I think.
Yeah, he did.
He's in the back. Right doors. Or kids. It's kids, actually.
Yeah, red door still goes.
Stunning red door.
They're spawned out. They're spawning con. Listen, they're spawning con.
Red lane down, dead.
Spawning Connor in the back.
Okay, what is I'm on the side.
Right,
Wait, he's taking notes out of the Beats playbook.
I will say this, like, everyone, like, a lot of people don't like his comms, but his team understand him perfectly.
To be fair, if you listen close, I can hear him, like, without too much difficulty.
And listen, I've teamed with Cell. Yeah, he done the same shit with me. I understood him perfectly. It's just, if his team are okay with it, then listen, that's not the reason they're losing, by the way. Like, just because Cell's coming like that.
It's just so inefficient, man. Like, I just love comms that are efficient. If you're going to call something out 2 or 3 times, it better be a damn important thing to call out.
Europeans been calling like that like for years, though. Rap, that was our thing.
Yeah, no wonder you barely won any events, huh?
I mean, we weren't making the money the Americans were. We didn't have the practice the Americans were getting. There's a whole range of factors. But if his team are okay with it, I don't see a problem with it. If it was an issue, he would have been dropped 2 years ago.
Yeah, I honestly, from that, like, people are saying in the chat, like, oh, he said yo. I heard yellow pretty fine, actually. I'm not gonna lie to you. I heard things pretty okay from him. There might be moments, especially on the broadcast, when we're in the middle of like the actual sound of the game and everything happening. Like, you might hear him say something very quickly, and it does sound at a fast pace. But in game, when you're mid war, you're understanding him at a fast pace. We're sitting at home chilling on our couch with a Coke in our hands and just chilling. Yeah, it sounds fast, but mid game, you're understanding what he's saying. I don't. The comms issue is not one. I think it's just something that people like to joke about more than anything else. Anyone blowing it up to be more than a joke or something funny to say, it's not affecting their gameplay.
Wait, no. Rab thinks it's an issue. He's been saying it's an issue for a while.
Oh yeah, if it's
standing on this tape.
Issue, go ahead, Rab. Go ahead. I mean, why do you think it's that much of an issue? The comms were clear. He's spawning out. I died yellow. 2 here. Like, the comms are still flowing. I don't see why you see it as so much of an issue.
I just think it gets in the way sometimes when you've got the big pressure moments on. You're playing a top quality team on the other side. I just think it's part of the skill gap, right? Like, it's not just playing well as a team. It's almost all the other factors involved in comms. It's not just saying where the guy is. It's the small talk. It's like, okay, if someone's screaming dead like 14 times, the small talk I want to make about, okay, like, hold up for me here. Wait, I'm going to spawn. This guy just spawned here, whatever. Like, it doesn't come through as cleanly. I'd be interested to hear what, like, coaches would say on this, just because it's difficult to criticize FaZe, but I'm just like,
you are right.
You know.
You are right. It does sound inefficient, Rab. I'm not disagreeing with you. My point is, there's clearly not an issue with it because he would have been dropped for it, or at least it would have been worked on. Also, like, we're not making out like FaZe didn't just slam New York to start the tournament.
Bingo.
This is just in my opinion, I'm just going to agree with you on this, Rab. This is a pressure thing. They get to the grand finals and they just ain't the same as they are in winner bracket round 1 and winner bracket round 2. Like, this is just, that's what it is. They just.
Well, I guess, yeah, my question is like, sure, I think I agree in part, but I'm also thinking like, do their comms sound different? I mean, I'd be interested to, listen to their entire match comms of their game on Thursday compared to their game on Sunday and see if the comms sound the same.
Going back to the pressure thought, like, bro, every year, FaZe feel pressure like 6 times a year. And it's literally in a grand finals or being kicked out of a tournament. There's no scrim pressure. There's no online pressure. There's no pressure at all. And the only times we see them crack are those 6 times a year we see them about to be eliminated from a tournament or in a grand finals. It shouldn't be understated how the quote-unquote they don't have the dog in them conversation that we keep having. It might be very well true. They might be people that crack under pressure and perform. They're so talented they can run on that for a long time. But when you're in that critical moment, everyone's senses are turned up, adrenaline's pumping in a grand finals. They just can't handle that situation as well as some other people can.
I mean, I'm also going to give credit to New York here too. Like, they just turned up and beat the fuck out of them. Like, Kiz was the X factor. Like, I don't see a single team coming close to this New York team in a respawn when Kiz and HyDra and well, let's just say the whole team plays like this again. I think it's going to be fucking hard. And that's why this is New York's best chance to win a grand finals. Because if they do, like, that COD Champs is in 2 weeks, that's not a lot of time, that's not a lot of time to fall off. Like, they're just going to keep running this momentum. And if Kiz and HyDra and Sib and Skies play to their full potential like this, especially with OpTic having a slump, Toronto having a slump, the only challenge really is fucking LAG and FaZe. Like, let's be honest, I think this is just, yeah, I think I'm going to give more credit to New York here than I am to FaZe in terms of, yeah, the comms sell comms like this, but it comes like this all the time. Like, they slammed New York in the start of the tournament, got to grand finals, and like I said, I just think it's pressure. I think it's maybe a bit of nerves, and they just didn't. And New York just absolutely beat the fuck out of them.
Trey, let me throw something else your way. Do you think the grand finals advantage that we used to have in CWL in comparison to now, do you think that's a factor as well? Do you think if FaZe had the opportunity to reset the series and we had that original format back, do you think we would see these grand finals be different? Do you think they'd be 2-9 still?
No. That reset is different. That reset is a change of vetoes. That reset is like a 20-30 minute break. That reset is like a mental break, a different team talk, a different something like this, this. Like, what do I think they would win every grand final? No. Do I think they'd win more? Yes, 100%.
Their record would be better in your opinion?
100%.
That's
I might be gassing it with a 30-minute break, but it's definitely a 15-minute break, 20-minute break to do vetoes, pisses.
You're stepping off the setup. You're literally stepping off the setup for a bit.
Like, you literally have to do, like, you can do a side change if you really want to, I'm pretty sure. Like, like, you can do a bunch of things.
Yeah, I do agree. I think that's a big thing as well that we discount a lot from FaZe is that in one series, anyone can win with the top talent. Like, New York's a great team. Let's not take away from them that they're a great team. OpTic is a great team. Toronto's a great team. FaZe is a great team. But in one series, with any of those guys sitting down next to each other, especially with the level of talent that's been developed and how good they've become at the end of the year, maybe sans OpTic at this point, all those teams could take a series off of each other. And that reset, there's no real advantage coming from winners finals, which is another problem with just this whole CDL format that I think next year, I hope the Microsoft World League can address that and give some sort of advantage to the winners of the winners bracket.
And that's why I think FaZe are better in winners bracket, because they know they have a second chance in the losers bracket. It's the same thing in the grand finals. You lose 3-0 or lose a best of 5. You're like, fuck, we got another chance. Let's get some better vetoes going. Look what let's recoup the situation. That's why I think that's they would be better there too. There ain't no second chance in the grand finals. I'm not trying to say FaZe needs a second chance. It's just that that extra cover that you have that is like soothing on the brain.
Yeah, Rab, I'm curious your take of this as well. Like, if FaZe end up in grand finals but don't win, get a second place, or just in any context at champs, if they don't win champs, whether it's second, third, maybe it's different between second and third. Do they get rid of Drazas? Do they make a change? Like, we've seen the history over the course of years, right? The change is always the answer to them. What do we think happens this year if FaZe don't win champs?
Okay, my perspective on the FaZe don't win champs potentially change situation depends, I think, on what happens to OpTic at the World Championship, because my feeling is that if FaZe are going to make any change in the off-season, it's not going to be Drazza for scrap, it's going to be trying to get Shotzzy, because they tried it before, and I think they will try it again. I think they might try it again regardless of what happens at champs, unless they win it.
Shotzzy.
Okay, you might not get Shotzzy. When Scump retired, at least when Scump was thinking about retiring going into MW2, if Scump had have retired, Shotzzy probably goes to FaZe. Shotzzy stays because Scump stays around, but if OpTic have a stinker at champs, he may be tempted. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm just saying that if they are going to make a change, FaZe, my feeling is that Shotzzy is the man that they'll target.
Ant never leaves OpTic. And it's not like he's like the franchise player on a bum team. He's a franchise player on one of the best teams.
Mm-hmm.
And ain't going nowhere. He ain't no... I don't even know how I could like...
Chat's really split on this. It's very interesting, actually.
He ain't no Mbappe for PSG. He's like goddamn fuck. I don't even know. All the football players suck these days.
On God.
Yeah. He's like a prime Ronaldo for Real Madrid in that aspect. He's the franchise player on one of the best teams in the game.
He's LeBron on the Lakers. He's LeBron on the Lakers right now. Like, he's LeBron on the Cavaliers years ago. Like, the one player that's just the guy, the staple of the team, the face of the franchise. There's no one else like Shotzzy in our league, I would say. It's probably just him. Him and Clay, maybe, but Shotzi's more active online and socials and brand and videos and talent as well, man. The guy's still an absolute top tier, top 1 or 2, maybe 3 sub in the entire game. So I don't know. Rab, I can't say I love that take, but I can say I appreciate the take just for the possibility that if FaZe want to win, it could be a move they have to make. Trey, what do you think happens?
I think if FaZe don't win champs, I see that core trio splitting.
Wow.
Actually? You think they have to make that like harsh decision of whether like maybe it's us kind of thing? It's not me. It's not you. It's me.
I think you actually have to come to that realization that you ain't winning as much as you should. What are they now? Like 2 for what now in grand finals?
2 for 9.
Yeah, they're consistently the best in terms of like consistency wise, but
it's just wild that they literally had a 9-0 map count going into grand finals. Like, they're not lost a map.
Listen, everyone's saying no way. Listen, if New York can win champs and drop Priester, FaZe can not win champs and drop Cell or one of the, you know what I'm saying? You got to think it might be the core 3 at this point.
What would you, if you had to pick one, you're picking Cell to move on from? Because it begs the question as well. It's like you have to be realistic, right? For Rab as well. Like, if you think about this, like, you have to move on from somebody, but then who would you speculate on replacing them with, right? We could just say Cell is the guy to remove, but then who replaces them? Who's out there to replace them?
People want HyDra, but then you have to take Simp off the sub, which I think's dumb.
Also, HyDra and Scrap are not available next year. I think I've said this multiple times.
People are saying get Dashy, bro. I've said that in the chat. But like,
let me be clear. Scrap and HyDra are not available next year. They are on contract still. I'm telling you, I know this for a fact.
Why are people saying Scrap like him and Draza don't have like some of the most horrible beef like to go around?
Yeah,
like,
Scrap and Draza are not playing together. We're saying about breaking the 3.
Dashi and
saying,
Draza, that's a duo that can work, though.
Like, what?
Dashi and
Ghosty?
Draza, I mean, Dashi and Draza were going to be a duo on OpTic.
Ghosty?
Yeah, interesting.
Ghosty's a good one.
Ghosty would be, I think, so Celium for Ghosty take.
Now listen, I'm not saying that Ghosty's better than so. I'm literally just saying you've got to look at it. Like you said, it might be us. Like it might be the core 3 that ain't winning. You know, they are the winningest team in the CDL, but they could be so like we're talking dynasties here. Yeah, you compare these to the dynasties, like they're slacking. Let's be honest.
Trey, they might need a flexible AR option to, you know, someone to come through and save the day. Someone with experience with Celium, you know, knows what he lacks and what he needs to bring to the table.
Good comms too.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah.
I don't know who I'm thinking.
Yeah, I was thinking God RX too.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. I think the only choices out there really have to be Dashi if OpTic decides to move on from him. But at the same time, if Dashi wasn't able to win that much on OpTic, right? How is that going to change much for FaZe? Secondly, again, people are going to hate me in chat. They're honest. I know I'm about to get flamed. Just everyone just stare at the chat in a few seconds here. But like, I liked Slasher on FaZe. I think that was a good group of guys that if they had stuck it out, could have done something special leading into different games. Yeah, I honestly like that team. I like Slasher on FaZe a lot.
I also liked it as well, but you know, the Slasher Cell thing didn't work. I mean, Slasher Draz could potentially work. I don't know. I think it's funny we're having this convo that they lose basically one series, the entire stage. All of a sudden we're talking about them dropping people, but like it, you know, the momentum builds up, right? It's like a snowball moving downhill. Every single major they lose in the finals of adds more fuel to the fire.
There's a reason we're talking about them though. It's because we deem them the best team in the game. But they don't win finals all the time.
Number 1 standings again.
They make the finals for sure, but they don't win the finals. So is it something to do with like? But the thing is like, you know, they just smoked the team. They just smoked that team like prior, and then in the finals they get smoked.
What like, can I bring up a rogue take? And I think this goes with what we do versus no other show does.
How rogue?
What does Crowder's role in this have to do? As far as we know, I think he's not with the team. He works remote. I see his TikToks once in a while, his Instagram reels. Do we put anything on Crowder as a coach in this entire scheme? He's been the coach the entire time, right? If I'm not mistaken.
They have a like RJ's their actual coach.
Crowder's not the actual coach?
Like RJ's the
day to day, I think.
From what I know, RJ's like the guy that's with him 24/7.
So I mean, do we put any? We've talked about coaching staffs with the other team. Do we say anything about their coaching staff because they've had the same coaching staff for a long time? Anything to talk about that?
I'm only gonna say coaching staff when a team's getting fucking violated and making shit changes. I'm not gonna say nothing about a coaching staff who's first in the standings every year and getting set and coming in the finals every time.
I don't know. I think that's interesting though. The way we gassed up NYSL's coaching staff.
In the chat.
Austin said they kind of split coaching. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm not. That's what I assumed.
Yeah. Oh, what's up? Also, what's up, Austin, bro? I just want to say, like, we give a lot of gas to the NYSL coaching staff for giving them the mental fortitude. Sender as a COD coach. Again, some people may not know Java also was an ex-pro as well. Some people are just saying he's a mental coach, but like he was an ex-pro as well, so he knows
COD player.
Was it? No
way he's doing it like that, man.
He was a pro. Like,
he attended the World Championship in 2018. He played for Brawl.
Yeah, he was at a champs. So I mean, I don't know.
I consider pro like contracted salary. That's what I consider.
That's fine. Okay, I respect it, but
sorry, I just had.
You have to clarify. You have to slam him one time. It's all
no. Whoa. Speaking facts, I just said ex-COD player.
Fair enough. My point being is that we give them a lot of gas for NYSL successes, but then, and also them winning a tournament with, all they've done to help that team out. But I don't ever hear any of the shows, including, even ours, we haven't really addressed maybe FaZe's coaching staff, not maybe with mental coaching, giving them the tools or whatever it may be to push to a grand finals. Is that something that we can think about, or is that worth discussing?
No, I think it's worth a conversation at some point. It's like we said earlier about the comms thing. It's like, clearly they can't think that that's a massive problem. Otherwise, they would have taken steps to resolve it. But it's still an issue somewhere, right? But also, if you're FaZe, you're making bank anyway, right? Like, if you're the coaching staff, you're probably getting paid the same regardless whether you win or lose. And if you win a bit more for getting first or second, it's like, you're still balling out on some level. So I guess it raises the question on how much incentive the FaZe coaching staff really have to, like, be first rather than second at events. Obviously, you always want to win.
I'm gonna say this to you guys right now. I never had Crowder coaching me, but I've had RJ coaching me. That guy is one of the most passionate people for winning, for playing the right way that I've ever had the pleasure of coaching me when I was on FaZe back in 2019. So I'm speaking from straight up, like, first person facts that they want to win 24/7. They will try their hardest. It's nothing like they want this as much as the players do. I tend to only really speak, like, I would speak on it if they were getting piss slammed, but the fact they beat New York 3-0 in round 1 and then lost in the grand finals, there's not much they can do at that point. That's grand finals, like, that's on the players at that point. That's where I will stand on it. They do what they do what they can. They do what they can. They win what they win the matches they win, and then in the grand final something just happens. But for me, I tend to only speak about the coaches after the players that are on a team that's doing bad aren't spoke about either, because clearly there's got to be something going on, like the ideas ain't working. I mean, if the team's just getting absolutely world starred, but, like, there's got to be some say in there. But for me, FaZe just consistently being first in the standings every single year, numerous finals, I still think it's on. For me, it might just be a core 3 problem at that point. I don't think changing Crowder or RJ is going to make them win a grand final. I think it's a little bit bigger than that.
Fair enough. I mean, I just want to bring that up because we've highlighted a lot of coaching staff. So be fair across the board, including FaZe's coaching staff. We need to kind of holler at them a little bit too. We have Slasher in the chat as well. I brought this up earlier, but he said we were the best scrim team in MW2. Hey, Austin, if you're still here, just going to ask this, so if you can type it out. But if you're the best scrim team, is it hard to get better? Because your practice is essentially you guys just dominating people. How do you get better when you're already the best scrim team? That's just, like, kind of my thought. Is there some truth to the idea that if you're the best, where do you improve or what do you do? So I don't know if you're still here, but if you are, if you want to address that real quick. But we do have the bracket for camps here.
Well, the issue is being a good scrim team is teams find it hard to play against you, and if they lose, it's like, shit, they're just the best team in the game. Like, what more can we do?
How hard? They're trying hard against you, but how hard are you trying against them? You get what I'm saying? Like, there's 8 teams or 9 teams in the league that you're not trying against.
If all 4 of you in some fucking happy vibey ambience flow state, the other team's chalked.
Exactly. Austin actually says, I kind of think there might be some truth to it. I personally like to practice at a disadvantage, ping wise or something. See what I'm saying? Like even I do think there's some truth to that's one of the reasons why FaZe, when they're in grand finals and such, and just in these clutch moments, and every team's finally playing on point. Like, scrims is not a perfect translation to, like, the high pressure finals. So when things are in that super high pressure, perfect COD, everyone's shooting the way they're shooting in a grand finals, I think FaZe just aren't used to that kind of pressure, not only in the environment, but also literally in the game, because they don't feel that much in scrims or practice.
Austin's a scrim player. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Yo, listen, before we get into this bracket, I'm pretty sure this has been the best Dope Check show viewer-wise live, I'm pretty sure, since we started this thing.
Absolutely. We've been clicking today.
Tapped.
The chat's been out of control. Number 1 stream on MW3 right now as well.
This is before All right, we don't count the ones with guests because we had the Slasher and Austin beef. We had all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, we Slasher and Sensor. Listen, we don't need beefs to get viewers. All right, we just got Ace's terrible takes, Rab's pretty face, and my shit tattoos. Let's lock on with this fucking bracket, baby.
Let's lock on, baby. I mean, look, to be fair, we've been going well over 2 hours 30 here. We need to wrap this up quick. We're going to dive into this bracket in detail over the next couple of weeks because that's what we're going to talk about going into champs. What I want from you guys really, and for the chat as well, pick of the bunch round 1. Biggest upset chance of this bracket going into the World Championship, because the top 4 teams ended up as the top 4 seeds, winning 1 event each. And they've been seeded into a bracket against, obviously, the underdogs on paper. Which of these games is the most likely upset, if you want to look at it from that sense?
Trei, go ahead.
That's for you, buddy. You take over. You can go first.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Biggest upset for the public, for the community, OpTic Gorillas. Okay? That's the biggest upset, I think, for everyone in the community. Biggest upset for COD watchers and fans, the fan base that watches COD truly and watches each match and takes it in. Highest upset potential in my eyes is 100% New York Surge. I think Surge should come out in that with winners round 1 shooting. We've seen what 04 can do. We've seen what Abuza can do, obviously. And if Hook is their X factor, if he's shooting well, I think New York can just get caught slipping. And funny enough, I mean, that doesn't even put New York at that much of a disadvantage because we know they love the losers bracket run. So I think that Surge match is definitely the one I'm watching for the biggest upset of this champs bracket.
Do you think it's an upset? You think that's the biggest one? No, do you think it's an upset? Do you think it's the biggest one?
Okay, I said publicly OpTic and Gorillas will just be the biggest upset like that, but Gorillas are really, their teamwork's on point and OpTic's teamwork is not on point. Specifically, their teamwork is like the main thing.
I think that bottom side of the bracket's kind of scary for both teams.
Toronto and Thieves, you think has some caution to it? Some caution tape around it?
I don't know why, but I always gas Thieves up. I just think they have that potential. Do I think they will? I think it'll be a close match. I just think that bottom side of the bracket's kind of scary. I think the top side of the bracket, you've got 2 of the best teams in the game right now that I don't think are going to get upset by those 2 teams. Ultra, they don't really get upset like crazy apart from the LAG one at the event, which I just think they were just shocked they were underestimating them in my opinion. And then they just get slammed 3-0. I do think the upset that does happen that you want to consider an upset, I do think OpTic, kind of crazy me saying this, I think OpTic lose to LAG game 5 just because of the slump they're in right now, and I think it's going to be pretty hard for them to get out of it considering what kind of slump it is.
They lose top 12 at champs. Holy shit.
Well, they can only get top 8. You can't get top 12. So, you know.
My bad. I mean, for them, it's genuinely, it might be worse. Like, we say it is top 8, but that top 8 will be they're the only team that can get a top 12 because the amount of shit they're going to get for losing at champs like that would be insane. To Gorillas especially, holy hell.
I mean, look, I don't disagree. I think if I look at these first round games, the one that's the scariest is the team that just got top 12 against the team that just got top 3. Like, I don't think that should necessarily be a hot take. But we're going to dive into it in detail in the coming weeks. We have to say a big thank you to everyone that tuned in today, watching from home, watching after the fact, wherever you are. Let me just bring Ace back on the stream. There he is. Gentlemen, any final words after a crazy weekend of cards? And it's not far until the conclusion of the season. It feels like it's crept up on us.
I'll close out. Trei, go ahead.
Hey. It's been a fucking great one, lads, isn't it? Honestly, wow. Pardon my French. We get Rambo Ray off the stage. Listen, by far one of the greatest shows we've ever ran. COD's coming to an end. COD Modern Warfare 3 is coming to an end. Online COD's done. I'm about to book my flight to Champs. So if anyone wants to fund me, you can. Prior to Breaking Point funding me too, so I'll just make a bit of extra money anyway. So
that's good work.
Listen, I appreciate you for tuning in. Honestly, the shows have been unbelievable. The watch party's been unbelievable. Well, we didn't really watch party this one, but the pre-show has been unbelievable. We do 1,000+ on there. We've done 600 on here with no help, just us 3 fucking bums. So from the bottom of my heart, you guys are fantastic. I love you all. And I'll pass it over to my other beautiful co-host, Ace, before Rab signs us off.
Ace, you can sign us off.
Okay,
Oh,
sounds good.
Rab doesn't want to speak to you guys, my bad.
Screwed up the conclusion. Trey messing up the ending. It's okay, though. Daddy Ace is going to close this out. All right? Here we go, man. Honestly, I love you guys. That's to my co-host right there. Austin, I love you in the chat as well. Everyone that's in there, whether you love me, whether you hate me, whether you talk good about us, bad about us, our good takes, our bad takes, every one of you guys is appreciated. We couldn't do this show. We wouldn't do this show if it wasn't for you guys. We wouldn't do this show if it wasn't for the demand in the COD scene. Man, we just want to bring you guys a good narrative, bring you guys the truth, bring you guys the back. You know, I got the intel, Rab's got the character, the intel, and Trey's got the EU intel. We're just all guys that just love COD and want to see the scene grow from the bottom of our hearts. W Dope Check, W Breaking Point. If you guys come to Champs, please stop by. We will be there. We will be talking. We will be signing. We will be taking pictures. Absolutely. Please come to Champs. Come to the event. It's going to be a great one over there in Allen, Texas. Man, speaking from the beautiful facility in downtown Los Angeles, the beautiful 100D facility in downtown Los Angeles. We appreciate everybody. 500-600 of you guys for watching. We love you guys. We'll see you at Champs. Watch party from Champs. We love you guys, and we will see you next week for Dope Check episode 28. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next week.
Thanks all for watching, guys. Have a good one.